Chapter 12:28. This. What kind of killing was this? The land of the northern heavenly profound gate actually gave birth to such a demon. In the face of Ning Fan's monstrous baleful chi, Taoist Nine Sword, who was a dignified quasi-saint realm Taoist, actually felt a chill penetrating his body. He could not help but take tens of steps back as if he was avoiding a ferocious beast. However, the shock only lasted for a moment. Taoist Nine Sword quickly composed himself and thought to himself, so what if this kid's aura is frightening? This was the bottom of the moon ancestral soul spring. This was the territory of the Green Lotus Sword tribe. In this old man's territory, even if you are a true dragon, you still have to obediently coil up. Order! Taoist Nine Sword gave an order and withdrew the power of the sword spirit that was protecting Ning Fan. Without the protection of the Green Lotus Sword clan, the primordial chi at the bottom of the spring immediately locked onto Ning Fan with killing intent. The concentration of primordial chaos here was too high, and all sorts of primordial chaos transformations could already be seen. Amidst the deafening rumbles, the primordial chi in the surroundings turned into the shadows of thousands of immemorial mountains and fell from the sky. In the next moment, it turned into an illusory primordial ocean, engulfing Ning Fan. That immemorial mountain was enough to make an immortal emperor vomit blood. Even a sage-to-be would have to dodge when thousands of them fell at the same time. That primordial ocean was enough to drown the great Daos of the heavens. Once he was swept into the sea, his Tao insight would sink to the bottom of the sea forever. However, all of these were not reasons for Ning Fan to compromise. Qing Ling's Tao legacy, the verdant lotus, was right behind him. He would not give it up to anyone. Forget about the illusory ancient mountain and the primordial sea. Even if the immortal emperor of the true world truly used the primordial mountains and seas to suppress him, he would not lower his head. Ning Fan summoned the ocean-defying sword. His eyes were filled with monstrous devil intent. One sword strike could shatter 1,000 mountains. If it spat out the flame thunder fire, even the great desolate sea would be evaporated. Seeing that the illusory mountains and seas could not hurt Ning Fan, the power of the chaotic primordial chi in the surroundings increased tremendously. It began to form layers of mysterious heavenly Tao lines. Those lines grew in number and in the end, they actually condensed into a massive palm print. The palm print descended from the sky, seeming to be able to tear apart primordial chaos, its might unfathomable. Many northern heaven quasi-sages had tried to explore the bottom of the soul springs, but in the end, they were repelled by the palm lines formed by the primordial chi. The palm print was so terrifying that only second-level quasi-sages would dare to take it head-on. Humph! Ignorant child! Today, I will teach you how terrifying the primordial chaos realm is. Taoist Nine Sword was waiting to see Ning Fan suffer a setback. All of a sudden, his expression changed drastically. 100 swords. Ning Fan unleashed all of his magic power. In the blink of an eye, he slashed 100 times at the palm mark and actually shattered it into pieces. After the primordial chi was shattered, it still wanted to attack Ning Fan again. However, Ning Fan was one step ahead of it. The current Ning Fan was already very different from when he first entered the Soul Spring. He had already cultivated the 5 elements mixed primordial body and was extremely resistant to the primordial chi. Ning Fan circulated the cultivation method in his body accordingly. He actually began to swallow the primal chaos chi around him in huge gulps. You're crazy. This is primordial chaos. This is... Taoist Nine Sword was so shocked that he couldn't speak. Even the pure Yang ancestral master was shocked by Ning Fan's action. They were at the bottom of the spring and not the upper layer of the soul spring. The density of the primordial chaos here was extraordinary. Even ancient great cultivators would not dare to devour the primordial chaos here. This brat actually dared. Ning Fan did not even bother to look at Taoist Nine Sword's shocked expression. He only focused on doing one thing. Tun. His nature was that of a devil. His devil Tao was to use toughness to conquer toughness. He wanted to destroy all the primordial chaos chi in this place in the most brutal way possible. Stop right now. You can't devour all the primordial chaos in this place. This is another pillar of my Green Lotus Sword clan's revival. Didn't you hear me telling you to stop? Taoist 9 sword was enraged. The first sword was finally unsheathed. It was a low-grade innate sword. A flying sword of this level was not enough to attract Ning Fan's attention. However, the one who controlled the sword was Taoist 9 sword, the quasi-sacred sword spirit. Even though the treasured sword was weak, its sword spirit was extremely strong. It made the power of this sword almost invincible among low-grade innate magic treasures. The sword soared into the sky. The sword light suddenly turned into 100,000 rays of moonlight, sprinkling down on Ning Fan. It was a very beautiful sword move. However, it contained monstrous killing intent. The 100,000 rays of moonlight were not formed by the scattered sword light. Instead, they were formed by the sword making 100,000 sword slashes at Ning Fan in an instant. 100,000 sword slashes were made in an instant. Even Ning Fan found it a little difficult to dodge the speed of the slashes. This sword technique must contain a trace of the principle of time in order to achieve such an unimaginable speed. To CHIIN everyone's eyes, Ning Fan seemed to have been turned into a sieve by the 100,000 sword lights. However, strangely enough, no blood flowed out. I actually hit him. This young man is really weak. Taoist 9 sword's face was filled with joy. He did not expect Ning Fan to be so easy to deal with. But soon after, he couldn't smile anymore. Ning Fan, who had been stabbed by him 100,000 times, actually began to wither. Eventually, his color faded and he became a withered tree ant. Then, a cold voice suddenly came from behind him. Do you feel so happy after injuring my clone? Bang! An unimaginable fist force suddenly came crashing down, directly flattening Taoist 9 sword's face. His teeth were broken and blood spurted out from his mouth. Then, he was sent flying. Surprisingly, Ning Fan had used his tree demon clone to dodge the 100,000 slashes and counterattacked with the ancient Devil Mountain breaking strike. Taoist 9 sword was sent flying for several thousand zhang away before he managed to stabilize his body with difficulty. He stared at Ning Fan in disbelief. Even though he was just a quasi-saint realm expert, the body of his sword spirit was tempered to the point that it was not weaker than a quasi-saint realm expert. Given the strength of a quasi-saint realm expert's physical body, his face was actually flattened by someone else's punch. The fist force of this person was just too terrifying. You're actually a body cultivator. Taoist 9 sword exclaimed in shock and anger. However, as soon as he said those words, he felt that he had said something useless. Since this young man was an ancient devil, he was certainly a body cultivator. It was not strange at all for him to have such fist force. Are these the only injuries you have? Ning Fan said emotionlessly. Without activating his eternal true body and executing consecutive attacks, the ancient Devil Mountain breaking strike really did not pose much of a threat to a quasi-saint realm expert. It actually could not even injure a quasi-saint realm expert who received the ancient Devil Mountain breaking strike. Since that's the case, I'll just activate my eternal true body. Eternal true body, activate. Cross-shaped halo, activate. Without giving Taoist 9 sword any time to be surprised, the ancient Devil Mountain breaking strike that was like a storm had already arrived at him. Not good. Second sword, unsheath. The characteristic of Taoist 9 sword's first real sword was its extremely fast speed. The second sword was a defensive sword. The body of the sword was like a shield and its sword chi was extremely strong. In an instant, the sword transformed into 3,000 layers of chi walls, protecting Taoist 9 sword. One had to admit that the defense of this second sword was really strong. Even the 800 ancient Devil Mountain breaking strikes could not penetrate its chi wall defense. However, when Ning Fan's punches became stronger and stronger, reaching the destructive power of 3,000 consecutive strikes, the defense of this sword finally began to waver. Boom! The 3,000 chi walls only lasted for tens of breaths before they were pierced by Ning Fan. Taoist 9 sword's second real sword along with his first real sword were all shattered into pieces by Ning Fan. Even he himself was like a withered leaf in the storm of punches. He was constantly being hit and destroyed. The ancient Devil Mountain breaking strike was just too stimulating for a quasi-Saint Realm expert like him. Taoist Nine Sword was terrified. If he still does not do anything, he would definitely be blasted to death by Ning Fan's random punches. 7 Stars Sword Formation, Protective Heavens. Taoist Nine Sword summoned the remaining 5 real swords and formed an illusionary sword formation to protect his surroundings. Only then did he barely manage to block Ning Fan's torrential attacks. Unfortunately, he had used this sword formation too late. At this moment, 2 of his real swords had already been destroyed by Ning Fan. There were only 5 swords left that could be used to form the formation. The power of the sword formation was already much weaker than before. Fortunately, this sword formation could also absorb the primordial qi to strengthen its defense. Under the enhancement of the primordial qi, the defense of Taoist Nine Sword sword formation had more than doubled. Even the 8,000 ancient Devil Mountain breaking strikes could not break the barrier of the formation. That was close. I was almost killed by this young man. How despicable! Let me show you the power of my sword formation. This formation is not just for defense. It also has more than 100 million variations. As long as I turn the formation it will turn into a supreme killing formation. Before Taoist Nine Sword could finish his nonsense, he suddenly lost his voice in fear. Ning Fan saw that his forceful attacks on the sword formation were ineffective. He immediately withdrew his fists and stepped on golden flames, walking towards the sword formation step by step. Every step that Ning Fan's giant body of golden flames took would leave an indelible golden flame footprint in heaven and earth. He did not seem to be walking between heaven and earth. Instead, it was as if he was walking on the veins of heaven and earth. Every step that he took was actually the key to the great momentum of heaven and earth. When he took 9 steps in an instant, the entire heaven and earth began to shake and become unstable. Bang! The great momentum of heaven and earth collapsed under Ning Fan's footsteps. Without the support of the great momentum, the sword formation naturally collapsed. How could it survive alone? The powerful sword formation that could defend against the 8,000 ancient Devil Mountain breaking strikes could not withstand Ning Fan's 9 steps heaven-trampling strikes in the end. When the sword formation collapsed, Taoist Nine Sword's remaining 5 real swords also collapsed at the same time. At this moment, all 7 of Taoist Nine Sword's real swords were destroyed. The only things that he could rely on were his 2 divine ability swords. Ning Fan, you and I are sworn enemies. Taoist Nine Sword was infuriated. He had spent hundreds of millions of years to refine the 9 swords that had 7 corporeal swords and 2 void swords. Today, however, Ning Fan had destroyed 7 of his real swords. His divine ability was greatly damaged. How could he not be filled with hatred? When the rage in his chest continued to fill up, Taoist Nine Sword finally met the condition to activate his eternal true body, which he had not used for a long time. His eternal true body was a special true body. It could only be activated under certain conditions. The conditions to activate a special true body were different. Taoist Nine Sword needed to accumulate enough rage in order to activate his true body. At this moment, he had fulfilled the condition. What Taoist Nine Sword cultivated was actually the Buddhist true body. His true body was a glaring Vajra who was standing on a green lotus throne. 2 rays of sword light flashed like lightning in the eyes of his true body. Those 2 swords were the only 2 divine ability swords that he had left. My 8th sword is called Golden Light Glaring. It contains the rage that I have been fighting against fate for my entire life. No matter what, I will bring the Green Lotus Sword clan out of this world at the bottom of the spring. My clan was born in the primordial era and will die in the primordial era. If we leave the primordial era, we will certainly die. However, if we absorb the power of the Sword Ancestors' orthodoxy, we might have a chance to live in the outside world. For this matter, I will not give up the Sword Ancestors' orthodoxy to anyone. No matter how strong you are, you won't be able to do it. Roar! Taoist Nine Sword's anger soared to the sky. The 8th ray of sword light in his left eye turned into blazing flames and flew out of his left eye, aiming at Ning Fan. It was a sword of wrath. This sword had accumulated the wrath of Taoist Nine Sword for hundreds of millions of years. If this sword slashes the dantian of a quasi-saint, the flames on the sword would be enough to wipe out the primordial spirit of a quasi-saint instantly. It was extremely dangerous. Of course, such a powerful sword must have a flaw. The flaw was that this sword could only be used once. After that, it would definitely dissipate. In his rage, there was also a belief that he must lead his clan to the outside world no matter what. Unfortunately, Taoist Nine Swords belief could not shake Ning Fan's determination to fight for the Green Lotus sect. Taoist Nine Sword had his reasons for not backing down, but Ning Fan had the same reason as well. Fighting and killing for the sake of their beliefs was the destiny of cultivators. Rain Dragon, swallow this sword for me. Facing Taoist Nine Swords' menacing eighth sword, Ning Fan suddenly gave an order. The rain intent of heaven and earth immediately condensed into a 3-zhang-long rain dragon. The body of that rain dragon was not huge and it did not seem to be imposing at all. After it was summoned by Ning Fan, it yawned lazily as if it was not interested in anything in the world. It had a strong personality. However, when Taoist Nine Swords' Wrath Sword light slashed at it, the eyes of the rain dragon suddenly lit up. Battle intent surged in its eyes. Then, it roared into the sky and directly opened its mouth, swallowing Taoist Nine Swords' Wrath Sword light. The wrath on the sword could even wipe out the primordial spirit of a quasi-saint instantly. Yet, a small rain dragon actually dared to swallow it. This scene was really unimaginable. Even the gigantic dragons under the command of the Rainmaster would not dare to swallow such a powerful sword light, as they would certainly die if they did so. What was strange was that Ning Fan's 3-zhang rain dragon actually did not die after swallowing such a powerful sword light. It just rolled on the ground and wailed in pain. That was all. The wailing and rolling on the ground only lasted for 10 breaths. After that, the pain in the rain dragon's body subsided. It had actually digested the 8th sword light that was formed from Taoist Nine Swords' wrath. Burp. The rain dragon let out a comfortable burp. Then, it happily circled around Ning Fan's true body of golden flames as if it was called out by its master to play with it again. The pure Yang ancestral master was dumbfounded. Taoist Nine Swords seemed to have suffered a huge blow and was directly petrified. Who would have thought that such an earth-shattering sword light would actually be easily blocked by an inconspicuous little dragon? This was just like a dream. Impossible! Taoist Nine Sword finally let out an indignant roar. What exactly is that 3-zhang rain dragon? Why did it swallow his wrath so easily? He did not believe that this was real. This is the source of Tao art. A living being that was formed from the source of Tao art is almost immortal. That's why it dared to swallow such a powerful sword technique. The source of Tao art. He has actually come into contact with a trace of the source of Tao art. The pure Yang ancestral master took a closer look and found some clues. Then, he was deeply shocked because the source of Tao art was too profound. Even he found it difficult to step into its doorstep. However, Ning Fan could do it. However, at the same time, he felt a little strange. Why does Ning Fan's rain dragon look so similar to the dragons that True Monarch North Sea raised? It should just be a coincidence. After all, True Monarch North Sea's rain dragon has yet to reach the level of the source of Tao art. It could not swallow a sword technique of this level. Of course, the pure Yang ancestral master did not know that Ning Fan's rain dragon was really snatched from True Monarch North Sea. However, Ning Fan's rain dragon was far stronger than True Monarch North Sea's. It was because True Monarch North Sea only possessed the power of the rain title. However, after Ning Fan cultivated the rain palm position, he also devoured some of the power of the rain title. The palm position and the rain title were of the same origin but were different. When the two of them were combined, they would form the source of Tao art. Living beings with divine abilities that were created from the source of Tao art usually had the characteristic of immortality. Ordinary means could not harm them. Ning Fan's rain dragon was such a case. Even though its body was small, it was much stronger than True Monarch North Sea's rain dragon. I refuse to accept this. Taoist Nine Sword roared at the sky as if he had gone mad. He had been planning for his entire life so that his people could get out of the Soul Spring. Just as he was about to achieve his wish, an obstacle like Ning Fan appeared. Even the 8th sword could not kill Ning Fan. What else could he do? The only sword technique he had left was the 9th sword. The 8th sword was the condensation of his anger in his entire life. The 9th sword was the condensation of his entire life's anger. If he uses this sword technique, he will certainly die. However, if his death could help him kill the outsiders in this place and help his people obtain the orthodoxy of the sword ancestor, then his death would be meaningful. This is my 9th sword. Once this sword technique is used, I will certainly die. Fellow Taoist Ning, fellow Taoist Lu, you two are too much of a hindrance. Follow me to the 9 nether yellow spring. At this moment, Taoist 9 sword's blood essence turned green. Then with a loud bang his flesh and blood exploded. The spirit body of his sword spirit was destroyed. His flesh and blood turned into a towering green blood. When the green blood condensed, it turned into a 1,000 zhang large sword. The tip of the sword locked onto Ning Fan and the pure Yang ancestral master. This was Taoist 9 sword's life-risking attack. He swore to kill all the outsiders in this place and fight for a future for his people. Clan leader, stop it now. Countless members of the Green Lotus clan knelt on the ground and cried bitterly. Their situation was pitiful and sad. They only had themselves to blame. The pure Yang ancestral master's expression changed drastically. In a flash, he appeared beside Ning Fan and said anxiously, "You've underestimated the 9-sword Taoist sect. This person is even crazier than you and me. He used his life to transform into a sword. The power of this sword can severely injure a 2nd-level quasi-saint. Let's go now." The pure Yang ancestral master wanted to pull Ning Fan away, but Ning Fan did not plan to leave. The evil intent in his eyes faded away, and he looked at the sword light which Taoist 9 sword had transformed into with his life. Ning Fan did not like Taoist 9 sword's shrewdness and character. However, he did not expect that Taoist 9 sword would actually do something that he acknowledged in the end. This person was also quite a character. As the clan leader, you dared to sacrifice yourself for the future of the clan. From this point of view, you're quite qualified to be the clan leader. Unfortunately, there is no right or wrong in the matters of cultivation. There are only different standpoints. You and I are destined to be enemies and not friends. The only thing I can do is to send you to your death with my strongest attack. Ning Fan seemed to be murmuring to himself. At the same time, he also felt like he was talking to his enemy, Taoist 9 sword. He wanted to use his strongest attack to respond to Taoist 9 sword's life-risking sword attack. Escape? There was no need for that. The Rain Dragon was eager to give it a try. At the same time, it was a little afraid. It seemed like it wanted to help Ning Fan devour this sword attack to gain some merit. However, it also faintly felt that if it devoured this sword attack, the origin of its Tao art would be destroyed. Ning Fan did not order the Rain Dragon to attack. Instead, he withdrew it. With a point of his finger, the entire world at the bottom of the spring was covered by the void rain. With another point of his finger, countless gigantic trees grew out of the void rain. It was actually the power of the wood divine spirit domain that overlapped with the void rain. Fellow Taoist 9 sword, you've always been wrong about one thing. This place isn't the home ground of your Green Lotus sword clan. As long as I want to, any place can become my home ground. Under the nourishment of the void rain, the boundless gigantic trees began to grow at an insane rate. This was not the power that the wood domain originally possessed. It was a qualitative change that was formed after it merged with the void rain. Water and wood. The nature of rain and wood complemented each other, causing the power of the wood domain to increase exponentially. In this wood domain, Ning Fan was the well-deserved monarch. Even a 2nd-level quasi-saint would find it hard to defeat him in his domain. Die! Taoist 9 sword's unwilling voice reverberated between heaven and earth. Then his 9th sword attack turned into countless green swords and rained down on Ning Fan like a rainstorm. Rumble. Countless wooden walls rose from the ground, protecting Ning Fan from all directions. Taoist Nine Swords' life-risking sword kept destroying the gigantic trees that were blocking his way. Under the nourishment of the rain, the gigantic trees grew again and again. There was no end to them. After an unknown period of time, Taoist Nine Swords' sword light finally began to weaken and dissipate. When everything calmed down and the smoke and dust dispersed, Ning Fan stood on the ruins of countless gigantic trees, unscathed. Taoist Nine Swords' life-risking sword attack could not do anything to him in the end. Our clan leader has lost. Even his life-risking sword attack can't hurt this man at all. The entire Green Lotus Sword clan was in a daze and fell into despair. When the nest is overturned, how can the eggs remain intact? As soon as their clan leader died, most of them would not be able to continue living. The palm seed of rain and the palm seed of wood which have come into contact with a trace of the origin of Tao law. The pure Yang ancestral master was so shocked that he could not close his mouth. He had never thought that Ning Fan was actually a cultivator with multiple palm seeds, which was one of the few in history. This was because he could not recognize the divine lattice of wood and mistook it for the palm seed of wood. If he knew that Ning Fan possessed a divine lattice that was 3 grades higher than the palm seed of wood, he would probably be even more shocked. This is the full strength of this young man. Initially, I thought that I would have a 30% chance of winning against him. Now, it seems like I barely have a 10% chance of winning against him. The pure Yang ancestral master smiled bitterly. After a bitter smile, he felt a hint of pity. Unfortunately, he only found out in the end that Taoist Nine Sword, whom he looked down upon in the past, was also a real man. He somewhat admired Taoist Nine Sword's boldness, but that was all. There were too many respectable enemies on the path of cultivation. Even so, a battle was inevitable in the end. What Taoist Nine Swords seeks is the future of the clan. I wonder what this young man is fighting for. The pure Yang ancestral master looked at Ning Fan inquiringly. Ning Fan did not answer him. He just dispersed his various abilities and indifferently walked towards the remaining members of the Green Lotus clan. As soon as they saw Ning Fan approaching them, their faces turned pale with fear. They felt that a great disaster was about to befall them. Is he trying to eliminate the root of the problem? A real man must be ruthless. I can't blame this young man for being ruthless. The pure Yang ancestral master thought to himself. Ning Fan did not exterminate the entire clan as he had imagined. He just casually asked the members of the Green Lotus clan. I heard that the members of the Green Lotus clan will never be able to leave this region. Why? The members of the Green Lotus clan seemed to have seen a glimmer of hope and answered respectfully. Then just stay here and live well for your clan leader. All you want is to break the seal of this place and go to the outside world. However, you don't know that the sea of blood in the outside world is thousands of times better than this place. To the outside world, this place is no different from a paradise. It's really sad if you don't know that you're living in bliss. There will always be people who want to live a better life. But what is a better life? Ning Fan rarely spoke so much. Perhaps the matter regarding Taoist Nine Sword had touched his heart. That was why he said a few more words to give these members of the Green Lotus clan some advice. The members of the Green Lotus clan wanted to go to the outside world and see the vast and boundless Soul Spring world. They wanted to see the starry sky outside. The immortal cultivators of the illusory dream world had been pursuing the giant gate of infinite wasteland. They wanted to pass through the gate and go to the true world. There was nothing wrong with being curious. There was nothing wrong with wanting to live a better life. However, it was equally important to cherish everything that they had now. Ning Fan raised his eyes and looked at the sky. He looked at the world of moonlight. His exhausted heart deeply envied the peaceful life of the members of the Green Lotus Sword clan. He was actually not interested in longevity or cultivation. He just wanted to stay in 7 Apricot City and live a peaceful life with his friends and family. The values of those who live in battles and those who live a peaceful life were different. It was not a question of right or wrong. It was just because he didn't have it that he wanted to obtain it. That was why he was curious about it. Ning Fan heaved a sigh of relief and got rid of all the distracting thoughts in his mind. He no longer cared about the members of the Green Lotus clan in this place and began to collect the inheritance of the Green Lotus sect. Naturally, no one dared to stop him. Countless members of the Green Lotus clan knelt on the ground and cried tears of joy, thanking Ningfan for sparing their lives. Some members of the Green Lotus clan even kowtowed to Ningfan 3 times and kowtowed to him 9 times. They were afraid that if they kowtowed too little or were not sincere enough, Ningfan would change his mind and not let them live. It was no wonder that these members of the Green Lotus clan regarded Ningfan as a kind person for 10 generations. The members of the Green Lotus Sword clan plotted against Ningfan first, but Ningfan was able to turn a big problem into a small one and let bygones be bygones. Who else could be so magnanimous if they were not a kind person for 10 generations? As for the battle between Ningfan and the clan leader, it was just a battle between cultivators. There was nothing that could be done about it. Both of them fought fair and square. There was no doubt that Ningfan was not a kind person. Even the pure young ancestral master was a little surprised. Everyone in the world thought that Ningfan was some kind of Tao to perfected sovereign, but he saw through Ningfan's evil nature. He knew that Ningfan was a devil lord who committed heinous crimes. How could he be considered as a kind person? Even such a devil lord would have times where he did not kill him. Of course, he would be surprised. Deep in Brother Ning's heart, it seems like, you hate killing? The pure young ancestral master asked a question that even he himself did not quite believe. In this world, will there be someone who likes killing for its own sake? If that person likes killing for its own sake, then that person is not worthy to be called a human. There was once a person who told me this. Go up the mountain to be an immortal and go down the mountain to be a human. Mortals dream of becoming immortals, but they don't know that becoming an immortal means killing. It means that they have no choice but to do so. The period when they are a human is the happiest period of their life. Ningfan casually answered while keeping the Tao inheritance Green Lotus. Go up the mountain to be an immortal and go down the mountain to be a human. The pure young ancestral master only heard a rumbling sound in his ears as if he was listening to the voice of the heavens. This sentence actually described the sea of blood in the cultivation world and the essence of immortals. He really wanted to know what kind of person could come up with such a sentence. Since he was curious, he naturally asked casually. Ningfan, however, did not answer him. Everything related to immortal sovereign Zido was a great secret of heaven and earth. He did not want to talk about it with others. Finally, the Tao inheritance Green Lotus was completely kept by Ningfan. When Ningfan kept the entire Tao inheritance Green Lotus into the divine Farmer 100 Herbs garden, it directly turned into a ray of light and flew into the ancestral sword soul grass. After that, the ancestral sword soul grass continued to grow. Eventually, it actually grew into a blooming green lotus. As soon as the lotus bloomed, it actually looked like a woman. She was passing through time and space and smiling at Ningfan. Ningfan felt inexplicably sad when he saw her, and he did not dare to look at her any longer. The lotus, on the other hand, wanted to look at Ningfan more. It was very cheerful and swayed with the wind as if it was dancing. What a pity! After absorbing such a large amount of power of the Tao inheritance, it only grew from a soul grass into a lotus. It's still far from being able to condense the azure spirit soul. Ningfan let out a long sigh. Although he didn't do it in front of the pure Yang patriarch, the scene of him using his orthodoxy to cultivate the soul grass was still predicted by the pure Yang patriarch with the power of Qianning. You've gone mad. You've gone mad. You actually paid such a price to obtain the sword ancestors' Tao inheritance just to grow flowers. You're really the most serious love-struck fool in the world. The pure Yang ancestral master really wanted to cry. He risked his life to accompany Ningfan. In order to help Ningfan resurrect the sword ancestors' Tao inheritance, he even broke the titled void space. He was still wondering what kind of extraordinary reason Ningfan had to be so crazy. It turned out that it was just to grow flowers. How did you know what I did? Ningfan frowned slightly. He did not like to be foreseen by others. It would make him feel very insecure. However, his brows loosened and he shook his head with a smile, sighing at the unfathomable means of the pure young ancestral master. In the end, he did not tell the pure young ancestral master more about the azure spirit. After all, The pure Yang ancestral master had helped him a lot by reviving the Green Lotus Dao inheritance. Even though it was just a deal, it also made him have some friendly relations with the pure Yang ancestral master. Since that was the case, he was too lazy to make a fuss about the fact that this person managed to foresee some of his secrets. This is the reward that you and I agreed on. Ning Fan flipped his hand and a storage pouch appeared in his hand. He then handed it to the pure Yang ancestral master. The pure Yang ancestral master received the storage pouch with a smile. How could he not know that it contained heavenly Dao gold? However, when he saw the amount of heavenly Dao gold in the pouch, his old face immediately turned black. He was unhappy. It was not because Ning Fan had given him less heavenly Dao gold. It was because Ning Fan had given him more. Why did you give me 10,000 taels of silver? The pure Yang ancestral master was displeased. The agreement between them was clearly 5,000 taels of silver. In order to help me, fellow Taoist seemed to have even broken the titled void space. Such a loss naturally needs to be compensated, Ning Fan said in surprise. In his impression, the pure Yang ancestral master should be extremely greedy for money. Isn't it good to give him more money? Why did this person get angry? A gentleman loves money, but he must obtain it in a proper way. The agreement between me and fellow Taoist is 5,000 taels of gold. Not a single coin more. As for the titled void space, even though it has been broken, fellow Taoist doesn't have to worry too much about it because this matter isn't considered as a loss at all. As long as you have enough money, it can be restored in an instant. This is the ability of my titled void space. You can take the extra money back. The pure Yang ancestral master snorted coldly. With a wave of his palm, the storage pouch in his hand suddenly split into two in the midst of golden light. One of the storage pouches took out a portion of the heavenly Dao gold and returned it to Ning Fan angrily. I have underestimated fellow Taoist. Ning Fan smiled apologetically. Of course, he felt apologetic for treating the pure Yang ancestral master as a greedy person. When he scanned the storage pouch with his spirit sense, his face was suddenly filled with surprise. With a cultivation base like his senses were extremely sharp. With just a sweep of his spirit sense, he could already know the amount of heavenly Dao gold in the storage pouch without any error. The amount of heavenly Dao gold that the pure Yang ancestral master returned to him was not 5,000 taels. It was 4,999 taels. 1 tael short. Since fellow Taoist treats me as a greedy person, I will show you how greedy I am. This extra tael of heavenly Dao gold is just a small punishment for fellow Taoist. Fellow Taoist can forget about getting it back. The pure Yang ancestral master said proudly. That expression of his made him feel as if taking 1 tael of heavenly Dao gold from Ning Fan was a great advantage. Ning Fan could not help but laugh. This pure Yang ancestral master is really an interesting person. I gave him an extra 5,000 taels of gold, but he rejected it righteously. Instead, he had to find some crooked excuses to embezzle 1 tael of heavenly Dao gold. Why bother? Or could it be that the difference between 1 tael and 4,999 taels is the ratio of greed and principle in his heart? Even though this person is greedy, he also has principles. That's all. Since this matter has been settled, I will take my leave first. I'm different from fellow Taoist. After all, I'm someone who relies on the heaven evasion coffin to survive. I can't leave the coffin for too long. Farewell. Farewell. The pure Yang ancestral master seemed to be afraid that Ning Fan would take back the 1 tael of heavenly Dao gold that he had taken. Thus, he left in a hurry as if he was fleeing from something. He even completely forgot about promoting the other few purity refining techniques to Ning Fan. It seems like it's time for me to leave too. Ning Fan looked at this world of moonlight and felt a little reluctant to leave. After all, Qing Ling's footprints had been left here before. However, he still had to leave after all. Perhaps one day, when he no longer has to deal with so many matters, he could return to this place and stay for a while. He could listen to Qing Ling's ancient song when the tide rises and the moon rises. Speaking of which, this dead moon is actually a treasure as well. Ning Fan looked at the gigantic moon beneath his feet. However, he did not take it away. If I take this moon away, there will no longer be any moonlight in the 4 heavens and 9 worlds. How regretful would that be? I'll just leave this moon here. He would not keep it. Of course, he would not allow others to keep it either. Judging from what that Taoist 9-sword said, it seems like there are other quasi-saints from the northern heaven who have come here before. If there are other quasi-saints who come here in the future, the Green Lotus Sword clan might be forcefully taken away by others after losing their clan leader. I need to leave something here. What should I leave behind in order to deter the quasi-saints from the northern heaven? Right. I'll just leave this behind. Ning Fan smiled and pointed his finger. The moonlight in the sky immediately gathered and turned into a gigantic moon statue that stood at the bottom of the Soul Spring. It was his own statue. This statue even possessed a trace of divine ability. If others come to invade this place, this statue would certainly warn them. I'll just use my identity as an ancient great cultivator to deter others. If anyone dares to touch this moon recklessly despite my deterrence, don't blame me for being ruthless. Ning Fan gave another order to the Green Lotus Sword clan not to destroy this statue. Then he left. How would the members of the Green Lotus Sword clan dare to destroy this statue? To cultivators who were above the immortal Emperor realm, as long as they had cultivated the descending technique, they could descend through certain ancient statues. The members of the Green Lotus Sword clan only thought that Ning Fan had created this moon statue to keep an eye on them. When they thought about how they would live under Ning Fan's surveillance for the rest of their lives, how would they dare to disobey him? Ning Fan turned into a ray of light and floated towards the outside world. All of a sudden, he stopped in his tracks. It was because there was an item that was slowly sinking in the moonlight water not far away. It was the pouch that the young lady called Fan Xiaoye had lost. Of course, it was impossible for Ning Fan to purposely help the young lady pick up the pouch. However, since he had already encountered it, he just conveniently picked it up. As a result, when he returned to the surface of the water, when he returned the pouch to Fan Xiaoye, the countless ladies in the vast cold palace were so touched that they shed tears. Fan Xiaoye even hugged Ning Fan tightly and refused to let him go. She was no longer afraid of the ancient great cultivator getting angry. It seemed like she was not afraid of Ning Fan from the bottom of her heart. Don't be rude. Quickly let go of Senior Zhao. A few ancient cultivators of the vast cold palace had already climbed out of the heaven-avoiding coffin and were waiting for Ning Fan. When they saw Ning Fan being hugged by Fan Xiaoye, they were almost scared to death on the spot. Was an ancient great cultivator someone that ordinary people could simply touch? Just by touching them, they would be tainted by the mortal world. Old monsters who were at the quasi-saint realm and above hated the mortal world the most. This was simply a taboo for criminals. But I'm too excited. Senior, please don't be angry. After Fan Xiaoye regained her senses, she was also shocked. Why did I hug Ning Fan so recklessly? What if Senior gets angry? It's all right. It's just a small matter. By the way, I have a question to ask you. Ning Fan looked at Fan Xiaoye deeply. He thought to himself that this lady was really similar to Si Yingyue, Su Manyue, and Lin Qingyue. Senior, please ask. I will certainly tell you everything I know. Fan Xiaoye said with a blushing face. She was so happy that Senior took the initiative to talk to her. Why are you called Xiaoye? Because my mother said that I was born when the morning moon was about to end. She said that the moon was a good intention and it was the best name for me. So Xiaoye means that the morning moon is about to end. The waxing moon, the full moon, the clear moon, and the morning moon have already appeared for 4 months. I wonder how many more moons like this will appear. Ning Fan muttered to himself. His words were destined not to be understood by others. My mother also said that if I fail to become an immortal in the future, there will still be an afterlife. She hopes that I can become a moon in my next life. My mother is very good to me. When I was young, once Fan Xiaoye started talking, she would not stop. She did not care about Ning Fan's noble identity at all. Ning Fan, on the other hand, did not mind it at all. Just like before, he quietly left a mark on Fan Xiaoye's body and finally left. He did not know what these little moon girls represented. He just had a vague feeling that these moon girls seemed to be related to the dead moon at the bottom of the soul spring. Becoming a moon in my next life, huh? In the starry sky, Ning Fan's murmur could be heard from time to time. Chapter 1229. Becoming the moon in my next life, Ning Fan's murmurs could be heard from time to time in the starry sky. After everything was done, Ning Fan felt a trace of weakness in his devil blood. He could not help but stop moving. Standing in the void space, he took out a palm-sized wine urn from his storage pouch. It was the transformation of his ability. If he activates it, the urn could grow to the size of a small mountain. It was the urn that the Green Lotus Sword clan used to store the primordial blood wine. However, it turned out that Ning Fan had already taken the blood wine away secretly. With his abilities, no ordinary cultivator could stop or notice him when he used his teleportation ability to take something away. The consumption of my war devil blood is too heavy. Even my ancestral blood has been depleted. I still need to rely on this wine to recover my foundation. After keeping the urn, Ning Fan's expression suddenly turned gloomy. He flipped his hand again and an old item of the sword ancestor appeared in his palm. It was the item that Taoist 9 sword left in his storage pouch when he died. It was a sword tassel that was used by a woman. This was the sword tassel of the 9th mountain that the sword ancestor used. You asked Ning Fan how he knew the name of the sword tassel? Of course, he asked it directly. What's your name? Sword tassel of the 9th mountain. Sword tassel of the 9th mountain. Which 9th mountain is the 9th mountain? The 9th mountain of the ancient desolation. The 9th mountain of the ancient desolation? You seem to be a magic treasure. But why can't I sense your grade? Do you have no grade in the first place, or do you have the ability to hide your grade? Ning Fan asked again. I have a grade, but it's not fixed. I'm on the same level as the sword. If the treasure is strong, I'm strong. If the sword is weak, I'm weak. The sword tassel answered. What does it mean by being on the same level as the sword? Could it be that this sword tassel can only be activated when it is tied to the sword? Ning Fan and Taoist 9 sword fought until the end. The latter did not use this sword tassel because he could not figure out its usage. Even though Ning Fan had confirmed that the sword tassel did have a certain usage through their conversation, he still needed to try it out to find out its exact usage. He took out a 12 Nirvana postnatal magic treasure from his storage pouch and tied the sword tassel to it. Nothing happened. The sword tassel was useless. Then he took out another low-grade innate sword. This sword was also taken from the treasure vault of the Green Lotus Sword clan. The sword tassel was also useless on this sword. Ning Fan even took out his true martial dual swords to try, but he still could not activate the power of the sword tassels. He had tried hundreds of sword-type magic treasures, but none of them could activate the power contained in the sword tassel. However, when Ning Fan tried to summon the ocean-defying sword and tie the sword tassel on it, gray chi suddenly rose from the sword tassel and soared into the sky. That was no ordinary gray gas. That gray chi actually contained a trace of the chi of the great wilderness. Ning Fan did not know what that chi was, but he could actually sense a trace of danger from it. At this moment, Ning Fan was in an uninhabited region of the starry sky. As soon as the gray chi soared into the sky, it immediately swept towards the tens of abandoned cultivation planets around him. Then, something terrible happened. The gray gas seemed to be able to devour all life force within its range, and several dozen abandoned planets were directly reduced to dust wherever it passed. That kind of ashes was not intentionally destroyed by a divine power, but by the gray mist, which had absorbed the last trace of star power from those abandoned stars. After sucking up dozens of stars, it still couldn't satisfy the gray gas's hunger. It continued to spread further into the starry sky. Finally, some low-level cultivation planets began to appear. Seeing that the gray gas was about to harm the innocent people, Ning Fan made a move in his mind and stopped it from spreading further. The gray gas seemed to be dissatisfied, but it did not resist Ning Fan's order. After all, it had devoured the life force of dozens of stars. When he looked at the sword tassel of the 9th mountain again, there was actually an immemorial sword intent awakening from it. That immemorial sword intent did not seem to belong to the sword ancestor. Instead, it seemed to be something that came with the sword tassel itself. Perhaps, the sword ancestor had also obtained this sword tassel by accident from somewhere. Under the enhancement of the immemorial sword intent, the power of the ocean-defying sword rose steadily. Eventually, its power became so strong that it went out of control. Even Ning Fan could not suppress the sword anymore and was nearly devoured by it. Ning Fan decided to unleash all the immemorial sword intent inside the ocean-defying sword. However, this slash was indeed a little earth-shattering. This slash produced a gray sword light with a human face on it. It looked demonic no matter how one looked at it. That human-face sword light let out a hideous laugh. Wherever it passed, the uninhabited starry sky was directly cut into half. The great Tao of the heavens collapsed under its attack. The power of this single slash was definitely not any weaker than Taoist Nine Swords' life-risking sword. However, after that single slash, the immemorial sword intent of the ocean-defying sword was completely exhausted. If Ning Fan does not replenish his sword intent, he would not be able to produce the human-faced sword light anymore. Obviously, the method to replenish the immemorial sword intent could only be used once and not continuously. There was another noteworthy point. The end of the sword tassel was adorned with colorful tassels. There were originally more than 30 of them. However, after Ning Fan slashed out the human-faced sword light, one of the colorful tassels broke and turned into ashes, scattering across heaven and earth. I roughly understand now. This sword tassel can only unleash its power when it is tied to a sword. It can't be an ordinary magic treasure. It must be tied to a Tao weapon. This sword tassel absorbs the life force within its range by emitting gray qi and transforms it into immemorial sword intent. Then, it will unleash the attack of the human-faced sword. There is also a limit to the number of times it can be used. That limit is the number of colorful tassels. Therefore, this sword tassel can't be used without a limit. If all the colorful tassels are used up, the sword tassel itself might be destroyed. This sword tassel of the Ninth Mountain is really a sharp weapon. However, I can't bear to use it. Ning Fan let out a sigh. The significance of this item was extraordinary. It was one of the few old items left behind by the sword ancestor in this world. In the past, he did not understand the karma between him and the sword ancestor. When he obtained some scabbards of the sword ancestor by chance, he would just casually use them and did not cherish them. Now, however, he understood. When the sword ancestor disappeared from his side time and time again, he finally realized that there was once a silent lady who stood in the dusty time and protected him on the other side of reincarnation. She had left. He finally understood. Is it too late to cherish her now? It's better not to use this sword tassel. If I use it too much, this old item will no longer exist in this world. Ning Fan seemed to have made some kind of decision. Even though he still tied the sword tassel to the ocean-defying sword, he decided not to use the power of the sword tassel's human-faced slash. From then on, the sword tassel would only be used as an accessory to accompany his Tao sword. Ning Fan kept the ocean-defying sword and took out the other old items of the sword ancestor. Most of them were female accessories. After all, the sword ancestor was a lady. It was impossible for her not to like dressing up. However, the sword ancestor's hobby was a little strange. Her accessories were not luxurious, but all of them were related to swords. That soft jade bracelet was actually a soft sword when it was unfolded. The small pendant of the golden ornament could also turn into a flying sword to hurt the enemy after activating its ability. Even the silver earring was made into the shape of a small sword. Its design was quite unique. However, there was only one of it. Earrings usually came in pairs. Ning Fan did not know why Taoist Nine Sword only had one earring of the sword ancestor. He probably lost it. Is this what they mean by, "I don't love the red but love the sword"? Ning Fan found it funny when he thought about it. How much did Qing Ling like swords in the past? That's why he would also make the earring into a concealed weapon in the shape of a small sword. When he thought about it again, he felt a little suffocated. Too many years had settled in these old items. Those were the peaceful years that belonged to Qing Ling. Those years belonged to Qing Ling but not him. Ning Fan stared at the earring blankly. After staying silent for a long time, he finally smiled and carefully kept all the old items. He was not a sentimental person in the first place. It was fine for him to do it occasionally. Instead of reminiscing about the old items, it was better for him to reform Qing Ling's soul and revive her in this world again. At that time, he would naturally have a lot of time to have a good talk with this woman who had deep karma with him. He really looked forward to the arrival of that day. How good would it be if that day really comes? Before dawn, Ning Fan quietly returned to the Lost World Palace and returned to Bei Qinghan's residence. Very few people knew that another quasi-saint realm expert had fallen on this unusual night. Even though very few people knew about it, it did not mean that no one knew about it. As soon as Ning Fan returned to Bei Qinghan's residence, he suddenly noticed a change in something in his storage pouch. The thing that changed was his immortal position token. His immortal position was originally just a 5th grade golden immortal. However, it showed signs of advancing to the 4th grade heavenly supervisor. This is... Ning Fan looked at the token thoughtfully. After 10 breaths of time, the immortal position token officially advanced to the 4th grade heavenly supervisor token. However, the advancement of the immortal position token did not stop. After another 10 breaths of time, the token advanced to the 3rd grade and became a Star Lord token. I don't seem to have done anything special. Why would my immortal position token suddenly advance? Ning Fan was puzzled. Since he had doubts in his heart, he would just ask the token directly. Bei Xiaoman woke up. She did not forget that she was going to be her second sister's maid for 3 days. After she woke up, she helped her second sister wash up and then happily went to find Ning Fan. As soon as she opened the door of Ning Fan's room, she saw a strange scene. Ning Fan was sitting alone in the room, talking to a token that was shining with starlight. Tell me, why did you suddenly advance? Oh? Are you saying that Taoist 9 Sword, who I killed, also has an immortal position in the 4-fish sect and he's someone on the Star Lord ranking? What's the Star Lord ranking? I see. In other words, there are actually more than 28 ancient star constellation emperors of the 4-fish sect on the Star Lord ranking. There are many others? However, ordinary people don't know about the existence of the Star Lord ranking. All of a sudden, the air became very quiet. Ning Fan stopped talking to the token and raised his head. What he saw was Bei Xiaoman, who was in a petrified state. It's over. It's over. My little Fan is broken. Could it be that he made a mistake in his cultivation and fell into qi deviation? Otherwise, why would I be talking to this token? Bei Xiaoman felt like crying. She slowly walked towards Ning Fan and gave him a big hug. Her motherly instincts were triggered. Little Fan, don't worry. Even if I have to kneel on the eternal spring island for 1,000 years, it's fine. I will definitely ask for an immortal pill to cure you. Are you misunderstanding something? Ning Fan was speechless. However, he did not push her away. Because he was sitting and she was standing, his face happened to be stuck to one of her soft objects. It was very comfortable. In order not to be treated as a lunatic by Bei Xiaoman, Ning Fan tried his best to explain to her in a language that she could understand. Yes. I believe you. Of course, I believe you. You're a normal person. All those who have mental problems say the same thing. Yes. Everything you said is right. You can talk to all living beings. You can take the heavens as your wife, the earth as your concubine, and all living beings as your cauldron. I know all of these. You've cultivated the yin-yang transformation, right? Bei Xiaoman tried her best to smile and comfort Ning Fan. However, her heart ached even more. Ning Fan sighed helplessly. Forget it. You can think whatever you want. In other words, you're finally willing to admit that you have mental problems. Bei Xiaoman heaved a sigh of relief. Among those with mental problems, the most difficult to cure were those who did not realize that they were ill. Since little Fan could still realize that he was ill, it meant that his condition was not serious and he could still be saved. Rest well. I will go to the Eternal Spring Island and ask for medicine for you now. Bei Xiaoman acted in a hurry. After saying that she wanted to ask for medicine, She immediately left the Lost World Palace and went to the Eternal Spring Island. The Eternal Spring Island was the holy land in the eyes of pill cultivators in the northern heaven. The master of the island was said to be a quasi-saint realm expert who lived in seclusion. From Bei Xiaoman's point of view, as long as she goes to the Eternal Spring Island, she would definitely have a way to ask for an immortal pill to cure Ning Fan. Ning Fan tried his best to persuade Bei Xiaoman to stop. In the end, even though Bei Xiaoman did not go to the Eternal Spring Island to cause a ruckus, she still caused a huge ruckus in Bei Qinghan's residence. All kinds of precious medicinal herbs that Bei Qinghan had collected in her residence were used by Bei Xiaoman to make soup for Ning Fan. Every single one of them had the ability to nourish the brain. After causing such a ruckus, Ning Fan did not have the time to study the changes of the token. After thinking for a while, he felt that the token was not important to him given his current status. Thus, he simply threw it back into his storage pouch and ignored it. Ning Fan did not care about the changes of his immortal position. However, it did not mean that the others did not care about it. Everyone knew that the immortal positions of the Four Majestic Sect were divided into 9 grades. The 9th grade Strength Warrior, the 8th grade Immortal Guard and the 7th grade Mountain River Deacon were the lowest grade immortal positions. The 6th grade All Heaven Guardian, the 5th grade Golden Immortal and the 4th grade Heavenly Supervisor were the mid-grade immortal positions. The 3rd grade Star Lord, the 2nd grade Tao Emperor and the 1st grade Spiritual Ancestor were the high-grade immortal positions. Everyone said that the cultivators with the highest immortal positions in the current world were the 28-star constellation Ancient Emperors of the Four Majestic Sect. All of them were 3rd grade Star Lords. However, this was actually a misunderstanding. In the Northern Heaven, only those who were at the quasi-saint realm and above knew that there were more than 28-star constellation Ancient Emperors. In the Four Majestic Sect, there was actually a Star Lord ranking. In the Northern Heaven, there were many unknown existences who held the Star Lord immortal positions. Ordinary people did not know about them, but the Star Lord ranking recorded their names. During the Age of Dharma ending, the highest immortal position was only the Star Lord immortal position. This was true. However, there were also differences among the Star Lords. For example, the 28-star constellation Ancient Emperors could only be considered as low-grade Star Lords. Taoist 9 Sword of the Green Lotus Sword clan, on the other hand, had become a nominal mid-grade Star Lord of the Four Majestic Sect by chance. If it was an ordinary immortal position, a person with a lower immortal position could not replace the person with a higher immortal position by killing them. However, if one kills a mid-grade Star Lord or above, he could directly replace the Star Lord's immortal position. This was something that very few people knew. In the past, Taoist 9 Sword had murdered an unlucky quasi-saint who barged into the Soul Spring. That was how he replaced the Star Lord's immortal position and became a mid-grade Star Lord. Now that the tables had turned and Taoist 9 Sword was killed by Ning Fan, the mid-grade Star Lord position naturally fell into Ning Fan's hands. In the headquarters of the Four Majestic Sect, old ancestor Lei Zhe was leisurely monitoring the starry sky crystal. Suddenly he sensed something. His expression turned serious and he immediately went to the Star Lord's stele in the headquarters. When he took a look, he realized that the 27th Star Lord on the stele had been replaced. It was no longer Taoist 9 Sword whom he had never heard of. The 27th Star Lord had become Ning Fan. Of course, this was because Ning Fan did not hide the heavenly secret on purpose. He felt that it did not matter. Otherwise, even the Star Lord's stele might not be able to show his name. That scared me. It turns out that Little Uncle Master killed an unknown Taoist 9 Sword and replaced him. Old ancestor Lei Zhe heaved a sigh of relief. The Little Uncle Master he mentioned was naturally Ning Fan. He had never heard of that Taoist 9 Sword before. Since he was dead, he did not feel any heartache at all. As long as the high-grade Star Lords were not fighting for each other's Tao Art stars, it was not a big deal. I wonder what is the cultivation base of the Taoist 9 Sword whom Little Uncle Master killed. I don't think he is a quasi-saint. If he is a quasi-saint, doesn't it mean that Little Uncle Master has killed another quasi-saint? How can there be so many quasi-saints in the world that can be killed so easily? Old ancestor Lei Zhe smiled casually. However, he did not know that he had accidentally spoken the truth. The Taoist nine-sword whom Ning Fan killed was really a quasi-saint. Jiao Xiaojiao had been waiting for an opportunity to sneak attack Ning Fan. Previously, when Ning Fan went to the inverting spring, she vaguely sensed that Ning Fan had something that she had been searching for. If Ning Fan was just an ordinary person, Jiao Xiaojiao would have already robbed him. However, Ning Fan was too powerful. Oh my god! Where did this little thief go last night? Why did he bring a trace of quasi-saint baleful qi with him when he returned? He hid it perfectly, but how could he hide it from me, Jiao Xiaojiao? Could it be that this little thief went out in the middle of the night to kill a quasi-saint? Could it be that he is really a legendary ancient great cultivator? Otherwise, how could he kill a quasi-saint in a single night? Jiao Xiaojiao was perfectly hidden in a well of a Dao spring in Bei Qinghan's residence. Her true form was a clear wine brewed by a fourth-step old monster in the ancient era. Due to her powerful background, her cultivation base was only at the void realm, but her techniques were extremely powerful. She was especially good at hiding. As long as there is water around her, she could hide herself perfectly in the water. Even Ning Fan would not be able to sense her presence in the water. So what if you are really an ancient great cultivator? I can't defeat you, but I can still play dirty, can't I? Just wait a little longer. I will definitely find a chance to get close to you. Jiao Xiaojiao waited and waited. Finally, she got the chance that she wanted. She could finally get close to Ning Fan. Wasn't Bei Xiaoman worried that Ning Fan's brain was damaged? Thus, Bei Xiaoman requested the pill refinement master in her residence to use the brain-nourishing spiritual herbs that she had plundered to brew a soup for him. Why was it boiled instead of concocting pills? Of course, it was because concocting pills required a lot of time. Ning Fan's condition was too serious. How could he afford to delay it for so long? Thus, he could only boil some medicinal soup to keep his condition in check. Sigh. The fourth miss really knows how to torture people. I am a dignified lead-grade pill refinement master, but I was actually sent to boil medicinal soup for her gigolo. It's really a waste of my talents. Suddenly, an old monster Duzhen appeared beside the Dao spring. He was a 9th revolution pill refinement master hired by Bei Qinghan. Due to his superb pill concoction technique, he was considered as a somewhat famous person in the entire northern heaven. He came to the Dao spring to fetch some water to boil soup. Everything he did was under Bei Xiaoman's order. With his status, he did not know that Ning Fan was the legendary ancient great cultivator, Zhao Jian. Thus, his tone was filled with dissatisfaction. However, he did not dare to disobey the orders of the dignified fourth miss of the Lost World Palace. This much water should be enough, right? The pill refinement master took enough Dao spring from the well and left. He did not know that the female demon, Jiao Xiaojiao, was hiding in the Dao spring that he took away. A few hours later, Bei Xiaoman came to Ning Fan with a bowl of piping hot medicinal soup. Just as she pushed the door open, she realized that the situation inside the room was a little strange. Why is Mother in Ning Fan's room? After meeting Ning Fan at the toppling mountain, she had deliberately wanted to avoid him. Because of this reason, she did not come again even though Ning Fan had kept his promise to wait for her in Bei Qinghan's residence. She did not really want to see Ning Fan. There was always a barrier in her heart that she could not cross. Unfortunately, she received a piece of news. Ning Fan was sick. Moreover, he was very sick. His mind was muddled. Of course, this was a misunderstanding caused by Bei Xiaoman. However, Yuan Yao was still a little worried because spirit sense was too important to cultivators. Since Ning Fan's spirit sense had become muddled, it was definitely not a minor illness. Judging from the symptoms, it was more likely that he had been schemed against by a supreme being. According to rumors, there was a quasi-saint realm old monster who lived in seclusion on the eternal spring island of the northern heaven. He was a divine doctor who practiced medicine to save the world. As long as a patient kneels on the eternal spring island for 1,000 years, this quasi-saint realm expert would certainly give them medicine and cure them. Even Bei Xiaoman deeply believed in this rumor. However, Yuan Yao knew that this rumor was false. Cultivators usually had a physique that was immune to all kinds of diseases. How could they fall sick so easily? Patients often appeared in the northern heaven cultivation world. These patients were actually man-made. The culprit who caused them to fall sick was none other than that divine doctor himself. The master of the eternal spring island, Taoist Chong Sang, was definitely not a kind person. This person seemed to have some kind of title that could cause plague to people. Therefore, when Yuan Yao heard that Ning Fan was sick, she suspected that he had been schemed against by Taoist Chong Sang. Thus, she hurriedly rushed over. How could she still have the time to hide from Ning Fan? Unfortunately, she had just arrived. Before she could say a few words to Ning Fan, she was already seen by her younger daughter. Immediately, she felt so guilty that she wanted to hide herself. "Elder sister, why are you here?" Bei Xiaoman originally wanted to call Yuan Yao mother. Luckily, she remembered Yuan Yao's request at the last moment and changed the way she addressed her. Bei Xiaoman did not understand why her mother would come here. Recently, she had been lost in love and her intelligence was obviously low. All of a sudden, Bei Xiaoman thought of a possibility. Recently, she had read a cultivation novel. The plot of the story was too similar to what was happening right now. In that story, there was a poor young man with a low cultivation base who fell in love with the eldest miss of a cultivation family. The young man and the eldest miss were deeply in love. However, because the young man's cultivation base was too low and his family background was too poor, this relationship was not acknowledged by the eldest Miss's family. In the end, the eldest Miss mother found the young man and told him, "If you leave my daughter, I will give you a good fortune. If you continue to pester me, I will send you to your death." The plot was too similar, alright? Bei Xiaoman was so anxious that she burst into tears. She kind of understood why her mother would look for Ning Fan. She wanted Ning Fan to back off and leave her. "Xiaoman, can you go out for a while? I have something to tell Ning Fan." Yuan Yao felt guilty. There were some words that she could not bear to let Xiaoman know. As I thought, mother is avoiding me because she wants to chase little Fan Fan away. Bei Xiaoman was in a dilemma. She had always listened to her mother the most. Now that her mother asked her to go out, she certainly did not dare to stay here. However, she could not bear to abandon Ning Fan after making use of him. "Wait, what are you holding in your hand?" Yuan Yao suddenly asked curiously. "It's a medicinal soup. Can nourish the brain. I prepared it for little Fan Fan." When Bei Xiaoman thought of Ning Fan's illness, her eyes immediately turned red. She really felt sorry for little Fan Fan. A medicinal soup of this level is probably useless. Yuan Yao sighed softly. If Ning Fan's illness was really the result of Taoist Chong Sang's scheme, how could it be cured by ordinary medicinal soup? I can leave this place and not disturb your conversation. However, you must make sure that little Fan Fan drinks this medicinal soup. You have to promise me. Under Bei Xiaoman's insistence, the medicinal soup was left behind in the end. As for Bei Xiaoman herself, Yuan Yao found an excuse to send her away. She was sent far away and directly sent to northern Qinghan residence. This medicinal soup seems to be. Ning Fan glanced at the medicinal soup on the table imperceptibly and then retracted his gaze. He seemed to have seen through something, but at the same time, he seemed to have seen through nothing. Even though it was just a casual glance, it still gave Zhou Xiaojiu a great shock. How scary! This little thief's gaze is sharper than a knife and colder than ice. I was so scared that I almost exposed my qi. Finally, Zhou Xiaojiu calmed herself down and continued to hide in the medicinal soup. Initially, she wanted to attack Ning Fan immediately. However, Yuan Yao's next words greatly piqued her interest. Thus, she was not in a hurry to make her move. "I heard that you are sick?" Yuan Yao finally opened her mouth and said softly. Of course, she was talking to Ning Fan. However, Zhou Xiaojiu felt very happy after hearing what Ning Fan said. She hated Ning Fan so much that she was invincible. Now that Ning Fan was sick, of course, she would feel happy. Why didn't this little thief die of illness? It's not like that. It's Xiaoman who misunderstood him. Ning Fan originally wanted to say that. However, when he met Yuan Yao's concerned eyes, he suddenly changed his words and did not say that. Ning Fan actually lied and admitted that he was a lunatic. Does this place hurt twice every day in the morning and at dusk? Yuan Yao's heart ached when she heard Ning Fan's words. She tapped the top of Ning Fan's head with her soft palm. Of course, Ning Fan's head would not feel any pain. However, if he were to put on an act, he would have to go all the way. It's all right. It's not particularly painful. Ning Fan intentionally sighed. You're lying. I heard that you are suffering from the head plague of the Master of Eternal Spring Island. That kind of pain can directly kill a true immortal. Why do you have to be so stubborn? That's right. You were just this stubborn in the past. Yuan Yao only thought that Ning Fan was putting on a brave front. She was already 100% sure that Ning Fan had been tricked by Taoist Chang Sang of Eternal Spring Island. If it wasn't because her cultivation base was too weak, she really wanted to kill her way to Eternal Spring Island and help Ning Fan vent his anger. That pitiful Taoist Chang Sang did not do anything but take the blame. It was also because of this incident that Ning Fan finally had a trace of interest towards the so-called Eternal Spring Island. What is this Eternal Spring Island? Ning Fan asked. Bei Xiaoman seemed to have mentioned it before. You don't have to ask too much. I will help you handle this matter. Even if I have to kneel on the island for 1,000 years, I will certainly get the antidote for you. Yuan Yao said resolutely. Ning Fan really did not know whether he should feel touched or ridicule her. Why do these two sisters, Bei Yao and Bei Xiaoman, even their tone is so similar? Should I say that they are indeed biological sisters? At the end of the day, I am more touched than touched. In this world, how many people are willing to kneel for 1,000 years and beg for others? Ning Fan thought for a while. He probably would not kneel. It was not because he could not let go of his dignity. Instead, it was because his personality was born that way. When faced with the same problem, he would only choose to use force to overcome force. Whatever immortal pills he wanted, he would naturally not kneel and beg for them. He would either trade with others or snatch them by force. He would always get them. If he could not get them, he could only snatch them. If he could not snatch them, he could only snatch them by force. This was the style of a devil that was personally taught to him by the old devil. Actually, I'm not sick. I was just joking with you just now. Ning Fan could not bear to tease Yuan Yao anymore. However, Yuan Yao did not believe him. She still felt that Ning Fan was putting on a brave front and was being stubborn. Sigh. Yuan Yao lowered her head and saw the bowl of medicine on the table. After thinking for a while, she decided that even though this medicine was not suitable for treating his illness, it could still nourish his brain. Thus, she decided to persuade Ning Fan to drink it. Fine. You should drink this medicine first. Yuan Yao planned to persuade Ning Fan to drink the medicine. This scared Jiu Xiaojiu to death. She was hiding in the medicinal soup. Her true form was Qing Shuejiu. If Ning Fan drinks it, what if he has a powerful ability and refines her? It was not that she had never thought of crawling into Ning Fan's stomach and causing a ruckus. However, who was Ning Fan? He seemed to be an ancient great cultivator, all right? Such a risk was just too great. I can't wait any longer. If this little bastard really drinks it, my life will be over. Jiu Xiaojiu no longer waited for an opportunity. She decided to attack Ning Fan immediately and sneak attack him. As a result, a trace of strange wine fragrance suddenly drifted out from the medicinal soup. The power of the wine fragrance this time was far greater than the previous time. This time, the wine fragrance even contained a trace of Qing Shuejiu's third step power. What's going on? My body. Yuan Yao was hit by the wine fragrance. The wine fragrance of the third step easily made her drunk. Ning Fan was already prepared for it. How could he be hurt by Jiu Xiaojiu's wine fragrance? Seeing that Jiu Xiaojiu finally could not help but attack him, Ning Fan immediately snorted coldly and used the finger-pointing heavenly technique to freeze Jiu Xiaojiu in the medicinal soup. It's impossible. You already knew that I was here. Jiu Xiaojiu was scared out of her wits. She was frozen to death. She was captured by Ning Fan. Female demon, tell me your purpose. Ning Fan was not an idiot. This female demon had come to him time and time again. She definitely had a purpose. The strange thing was that his mind-reading technique was actually ineffective against her. Thus, he could only ask her directly. Humph. Just kill me. I won't tell you. Jiao Xiaojiao was rather stubborn. Kill you? After I kill you, you can reincarnate to another place and be reborn with the help of the wine qi. So, why would I kill you? Why don't I just drink you? Green light flashed across Ningfan's eyes as if he had seen through all of Jiao Xiaojiao's abilities. As soon as Jiao Xiaojiao heard that Ningfan wanted to drink her, her face turned pale. Why you dare? If you drink me, Grandpa Fishlord will certainly take revenge for me. No, I didn't say Grandpa Fishlord. This matter has nothing to do with him. Jiao Xiaojiao originally wanted to use the tiger's skin to scare Ningfan. However, when she thought about how Ningfan could even kill a quasi-saint realm being, she thought that he might be a great cultivator from the ancient times. If Grandpa Fishlord is involved in this matter, won't he be in trouble? She immediately changed her words. Fishlord? Ningfan frowned slightly. Just as he was about to ask about Jiao Xiaojiao's background in detail, his lips suddenly felt warm and something kissed him. Hot. So hot. Yuan Yao was drunk. Am I drunk again? Ningfan's eyes flashed. He would never admit that the reason why he allowed Jiao Xiaojiao to stay in the medicinal soup was because he wanted something similar to this to happen. In that case, how could he still have the mood to play with Jiao Xiaojiao? After sealing her up, he threw her into the profound Yin world and locked her up. Then all sorts of strange things happened in the room. Bei Xiaomen was sent away. However, Bei Qinghan was still there. Bei Qinghan stood outside Ningfan's room with a shocked expression. That's right. Ningfan's room was equipped with the restrictive formation. The people outside could not hear what was happening inside. However, one mustn't forget that this was her house. With her shrewdness, she would surely have a way to find out what was happening inside the room. Oh my God. Mother and Ningfan actually. Interesting. This is too interesting. Things are really as I expected. Cuckoo, what kind of posture is this? Do you have to be so rough? Ho 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 ho. Mother has actually been placed in such a position. Now I can really see everything. Bei Qinghan still wanted to continue peeking. Suddenly, a breeze blew out from the room and landed on her body, directly blowing her thousands of li away. She was directly blown out of Western Palace Island and into the Sea of Time. Little girl, you are still too young. These scenes are not suitable for you to watch. Ningfan's displeased voice could be heard in the breeze. It was also because Bei Qinghan peeked. He was only giving her a small punishment because he was concerned about Bei Yao and Xiaoman's reputation. Bei Qinghan exploded with anger. You slept with my younger sister and my mother, but you still don't allow me to watch. You're shameless. What? What did you call Yao? Did you say mother? Ningfan's voice was like a thunderclap. He finally knew why she had been avoiding him all this while. However, the arrow was already knocked on the bowstring. He really couldn't care less anymore. With his intelligence, even though he had guessed the truth in an instant, he could no longer stop. How could he stop? Since he couldn't stop, he might as well go all the way. After the storm passed, Yuan Yao felt so ashamed that she wanted to die. She had sworn to avoid Ningfan. Who can tell her why she slept with him again? Moreover, she actually slept with him for real this time. I remember that I seemed to have smelled the fragrance of wine just now. That fragrance was very familiar. I remember now. The one who did it was that female cultivator whom I met on Reverse Mountain. Yuan Yao hated Jiao Xiaojiao to the core. If it wasn't for her, why would she get drunk again and do that to Ningfan again? Ningfan, stop now. Quickly get out of here. Yuan Yao, who had sobered up naturally, did not want to continue. I heard that dual cultivation can cure the head plague. Ningfan gave Yuan Yao a reason. He knew that Yuan Yao needed a reason to cross the threshold in her heart. Otherwise, this stubborn woman would certainly be drowned in guilt. What? I was schemed against by the Tao Master of Eternal Spring and got the head plague. Dual cultivation with you can cure the head plague. That way, my head won't hurt anymore. Is this reason enough? Ning Fan's non-existent mental illness became the reason to comfort Yuan Yao instead. Really? When talking about Ning Fan's illness, Yuan Yao's heart softened a little. The guilt in her heart also lessened a little. Anyway, it had already happened. If this can really alleviate Ning Fan's illness, then I'll just bear with it for a while longer, then hurry up. Yuan Yao closed her eyes and pleaded with a soft voice. Alright. Yuan Yao only left Beiqing Han residence in a bad mood when it was late at night. She swore that she would never trust Ning Fan again. She had clearly asked Ning Fan to hurry up, but he still dragged it for so long, causing her to embarrass herself and making her beg for mercy continuously. Since it had already happened, it would be impossible for her not to blame herself. However, when she thought of Ning Fan's head plague, Yuan Yao could not be bothered to blame herself anymore. In the future, she would still stay far away from Ning Fan. However, the matter regarding Ning Fan's head plague also needed to be resolved properly. Fine. I'll first send someone to probe the disciples of Eternal Spring Island and see if it's possible for the master of Eternal Spring Island to let Ning Fan go and retract his scheme. Yuan Yao let out a faint sigh. She did not like to lower her head to beg others. However, if it's for the sake of the people she cared about, she would not mind doing so. She treated her 4 daughters the same way, and it was the same for Ning Fan. However, she did not know if the other party would let Ning Fan go. Chapter 12:30. In order to revive the Sword Ancestor's orthodoxy, Ning Fan had lost a lot of devil blood. His ancient devil ancestor blood was even used up. Due to this reason, Ning Fan's qi and blood looked rather weak. In the eyes of Bei Xiaoman and her daughter, it became the irrefutable evidence that Ning Fan was beyond cure. When she thought of Ning Fan's slightly pale complexion, Yuan Yao became even more determined to cure him. She sent someone to Eternal Spring Island, saying that she had something to ask of them. However, her message was like a stone sinking into the ocean. She did not get any reply from them. Eternal Spring Island in Northern Heaven. Eternal Spring Island was where Taoist Chong Sang's dojo was located. It was one of the 9 great blessed lands of Northern Heaven. The island was like spring all year round with abundant spiritual qi. As far as the eye could see, it was filled with thriving medicinal fields. Those who did not know the truth would certainly be enchanted by the beautiful scenery of the medicinal fields. Only those ancient monsters with powerful spirit senses could sense that countless corpses of cultivators were buried under the medicinal fields. All of them were the failed cultivators who came here to seek medicine and treatment. The people of the world only knew that Taoist Chong Sang was kind and skillful. However, they did not know that one would have to pay a huge price and take a huge risk to ask for Taoist Chong Sang's help. First of all, one would have to kneel on Eternal Spring Island for 1,000 years to express their sincerity. Secondly, one would have to complete the 9 trials that Taoist Chong Sang set up. Only by passing all of them would one be qualified to receive his help. Failure would mean death. The difficulty of the 9 trials was extremely high. 70 to 80% of those who came to seek medicine would die during the trials. In the end, their bones would be buried under the medicinal fields and become fertilizer. At this moment, 4 disciples of the Eternal Spring sect who were shrouded in 7-colored luck were conducting the 9 trials for a group of people who came to seek medicine. These 4 disciples were all immortal Emperor Realm cultivators. Their appearances were even more peculiar. One was tall, one was short, one was fat, and one was skinny. Due to the luck on their bodies, they could only see their rough silhouettes but not their actual appearances. While the 9 trials were going on, the skinny immortal emperor among the 4 disciples suddenly exclaimed. Then he bent his palm and drew a messenger flying sword from the starry sky. Who is seeking medicine this time? The eldest disciple of Taoist Chong Sang, the tallest immortal emperor, asked bluntly. His immortal title was Great Emperor East Plague. It's the Palace Lord of the Lost World Palace, a little girl who's shedding space. The skinny immortal emperor said in disdain. He was the 4th disciple of Taoist Chong Sang, and his immortal title was Great Emperor North Plague. Who is this girl asking for medicine for? Could it be that it was for his master, The old woman of the Western Palace? If that's the case, it's not like I can't let her off the hook. However, what's strange is that I don't remember Master making a move against the old woman from the Western Palace. The second disciple, the Southern Plague Great Emperor, asked. It's not for the old woman in the Western Palace. It seems to be for one of her juniors. Then just ignore her. This woman really doesn't know the rules. Even those ancient immortal venerables have to kneel for 1,000 years when they come to my eternal spring island to ask for medicine. Hehe, is sending a voice transmission to ask for medicine something she can do? Does she think she is an immortal king or an immortal emperor? The third disciple, Great Emperor Western Plague, coldly sneered. Third junior brother is right. Let's quickly deal with this batch of people who are asking for medicine. Let's not waste time on the matter of a little kid from the Lost World Palace. The second disciple, Great Emperor Western Plague, nodded. To these high and mighty immortal emperors, Yuan Yao was just a little kid. The mere title of the palace lord of the Lost World Palace could not scare them at all. As such, Yuan Yao's message was like a stone sinking into the ocean. There was no response. For several days, Yuan Yao did not receive any reply. How could she not understand the meaning of Eternal Spring Island? It seems like I have to go to Eternal Spring Island personally. Only then will there be a glimmer of hope to solve this matter. Yuan Yao sighed helplessly. It was not that she did not know the rules. It was also not that she was unwilling to go to Eternal Spring Island personally and kneel for 1,000 years. The problem was that the second round of the grand competition was just around the corner. Would the Lost World Palace let the Palace Lord go? Of course not. If she wants to go to Eternal Spring Island, she would at least have to wait until all 3 rounds of the grand competition are over. Otherwise, her master alone would never let her leave the island. She really had no choice. After the 3rd round of the grand competition is over, I will go to Eternal Spring Island personally. Yuan Yao made up her mind. Ning Fan had lost too much of his devil blood. Of course, he had to solve this matter. Fortunately, he had taken a large amount of ancient devil blood wine from the Green Lotus Sword clan. As long as he refines all of the blood wine, he could easily replenish the devil blood that he had lost. The only problem was that the devil talisman's injuries were too severe. It was not easy to recover. Previously, in order to revive the sword ancestor's orthodoxy, Ning Fan had sacrificed all of his ancient devil ancestral blood. In total, he had sacrificed 10 drops of ancestral blood. Among these 10 drops of ancestral blood, 6 of them were produced on the spot in the Green Lotus Sword clan. As these 6 drops had yet to fuse with the devil talisman, even if they were lost, the damage to the devil talisman would be negligible. However, the problem was the 4 drops of ancestral blood that he sacrificed in the beginning. Those 4 drops of ancestral blood had already fused with the devil talisman. The consequence of forcefully sacrificing them was that all 236 strokes on the devil talisman were broken. They needed to be repaired one by one. Refining the ancient devil blood wine did not take too long. However, repairing the devil talisman was definitely not something that could be completed in 3 to 5 days. Xiaoman, I have some urgent matters to attend to. I need to enter the Lost World Tower for a while. Is there a Lost World Tower that I can enter and exit at any time? I want to enter the tower for a few days of seclusion. When the second round begins, I will naturally come out and become your chess soldier. Ning Fan asked. You want to enter the Lost World Tower? No way. The second round of the grand competition is just around the corner. The time power of the entire Sea of Time has been drawn to the Four Corners chess realm. All the Lost World Towers have been sealed. It's useless for you to enter. Why don't you just go to the Four Corners chess realm to cultivate? The flow of time in the Four Corners chess realm is 1/10,000th of the outside world. Besides, the flow of time there is no restriction on the level of one's cultivation base. It's much better if you just go to the Four Corners chess realm. Bei Xiaoman answered. The Four Corners chess realm that Bei Xiaoman mentioned was the place where all the chess soldiers would fight after the second round begins. There are still 5 days before the second round begins. Is it inappropriate for me to go there in advance? Ning Fan asked. Don't worry. I'm the 4th mistress of the Lost World Palace after all. I still have the authority to go there. There are still 5 days before the second round begins. In other words, you can stay in seclusion for 50,000 days and nights in the chess world. I think such a long period of time should be enough for you. By the way, you have to bring this token of the chess devil with you. When the second round begins, this token will be the token for you to fight in the Four Corners chess realm. Bei Xiaoman handed Ning Fan an identity token. It was the token for Ning Fan to participate in the second round. There were 2 lines of words engraved on the front of the token. Devil, Bei Xiaoman. It meant that Ning Fan was Bei Xiaoman's chess soldier. The type of chess soldier was the devil among the fiend gods, demons, immortals, and ghosts. There were also 2 lines of words engraved on the back of the token. No chess world talisman. No military merit. What's a chess world talisman? Ning Fan asked casually. After the second round begins, all the chess soldiers in the chess world will be randomly given 3 chess world talismans. If you want more chess world talismans, you will have to purchase them separately. Speaking of chess world talismans, this item is especially important. It's an ancient talisman that can only be used in the chess world. Bei Xiaoman explained at least 100,000 words. Thus, she had to omit 100,000 words. All right. I understand. Ning Fan said indifferently. You really understand? You've memorized the types, effects and prices of the 3,000 chess world talismans? Bei Xiaoman asked with uncertainty. I've memorized them all. In other words, when the second round begins, I only need to eliminate all the enemies that I encounter. No. You don't understand at all. Bei Xiaoman held her forehead helplessly. Forget it. I chose you as a chess soldier because I don't expect you to make many military merits for me. If you don't want to remember these rules, you don't have to. When the second round begins, I will send other chess soldiers to protect you. You just need to protect yourself. That's more important than anything else. You have to remember that you're a patient. Don't force yourself if you encounter any problems. When the battle begins, if the enemy's chess soldiers want to kill you, just run away. Don't be afraid even if you can't escape because no one will really die in the chess world. Bei Xiaoman reminded him repeatedly. Thus, Ning Fan entered the four-sided chess world 5 days earlier by using the back door. The four-sided chess world was a damaged vast thousand world that was controlled by the Lost World Palace. It would only be opened for a short period of time during the second round of the grand competition. It would be in a sealed state and no one was allowed to enter during the competition. The rules of the second round of the grand competition required the disciples of the 3 palaces of the Lost World Palace to compete in the 6 games of chess in the outside world. The chess soldiers that the disciples chose would fight each other in the four-sided chess world according to the requirements of the game. For example, if Bei Xiaoman moves the chess devil that represented Ning Fan during a game of chess, Ning Fan's position in the chess world would be moved according to the same command. If Bei Xiaoman wanted to use Ning Fan to eat other people's chess pieces, Ning Fan would fight against the chess soldier that represented the chess piece. If Ning Fan could defeat the chess soldier in the chess world, he would succeed in eating the chess piece. If Ning Fan was not the opponent's match, he would fail in eating the chess piece. Bei Xiaoman's chess skills were very good, but the strength of the chess soldiers was equally important. Otherwise, she would not be able to eat the chess pieces of the enemy and win. Usually, the battles between chess soldiers would not result in real death. This was because the four-sided chess world contains some kind of special power. Any chess soldiers who died in the chess world could be reborn in the outside world. In the battles between chess soldiers, not only did they have to compete with each other's cultivation base, but they also had to pay attention to their killing techniques. These techniques were the reasonable use of the chess world talisman. The chess world talisman was a kind of magical talisman. It only existed in the four-sided chess world and it could only be used in the chess world. It could not be brought out of the outside world. There were a total of 3,000 types of chess world talisman which corresponded to the number of great Tao in the heavenly cycle. Each of them had immeasurable power. If the chess world talisman is used well, a cultivator with a lower cultivation base could even defeat a cultivator with a higher cultivation base. Then, here comes the question. What were the 3,000 types of chess world talisman? What were their effects? The chess soldiers of other clans had long memorized the types and effects of the 3,000 types of chess world talisman. However, they still felt that it was not enough. Ning Fan, on the other hand, could not even recognize all the names of the 3,000 types of chess world talisman. If it wasn't because his strength was far stronger than the other chess soldiers, he would definitely make his teammates cry if he participated in the competition with such an attitude. Forget it. I'll slowly study the chess world talisman when the second round begins. Right now, recovering my devil blood is more important. Ning Fan hung the token of the chess devil on his waist according to the rules of the second round. Then he began to search for a suitable place for seclusion in the four-sided chess world. The mountains and rivers in the four-sided chess world were arranged according to the layout of the six-bow chessboard. The four corners of the chess world represented four camps which corresponded to the east, west, south and north palaces of the Lost World Palace. In fact, the Lost World Palace did not just consist of the three palaces. There used to be the Nangong Palace as well. However, due to some reasons, the Nangong Palace's bloodline was completely wiped out. It was a tragic event. This led to a result. Ever since the Nangong Palace was annihilated, the chess soldiers could only choose between the Eastern Army, the Northern Army and the Western Army in the second round of the competition. Ning Fan was a chess soldier of Bei Xiaomen. Naturally, he belonged to the Western Army. Before the second round officially begins, he could not wander around the chess world. He could only move around in the military camp of the Western Army. Otherwise, he would be deprived of his right to be a chess soldier. Although it was called a military camp, it actually covered a vast area. There were 30,000 immortal mountains in the military camp. Each of the mountains had a cave dwelling for the chess soldiers of the Western Army to rest. There were 10 shops. These shops were where the chess soldiers used their battle points to buy the chess world talismans. At the moment, the shops had not been opened yet. There were 800 armored soldiers of the Western Army patrolling the area. All of them were nascent Soul Realm stone puppets. As soon as Ning Fan entered the military camp of the Western Army, a nascent Soul Realm puppet immediately walked towards him and asked with an expressionless face, "You are the 22nd chess soldier of the Western Army to enter this world in advance. Entering this world in advance is already against the rules. You must not cause any more trouble here. Otherwise, you will be deprived of your right to be a chess soldier and be expelled from this world. It will be too late for regrets." Understood. Ning Fan nodded his head. He was not angered by the arrogant tone of the nascent Soul Realm stone soldier. These patrolling nascent Soul Realm stone soldiers had low spiritual intelligence. They would speak arrogantly to everyone. They would not change their tone just because someone's cultivation base was higher than theirs. Even though their cultivation base was low, these nascent Soul Realm stone soldiers seemed to be like the rulers of the chess world. They had supreme authority. Even an ancient immortal venerable might be chased out of this world if he offended these stone soldiers. The flow of time in this world is 1/10,000th of that of the outside world. Based on the time in this world, there are still 48,576 days before the second round begins. Before that, you can choose a cave abode to rest in. Once you have chosen a cave abode, you cannot change it. Before the second round ends, you cannot leave on your own. Otherwise, you will be deprived of your right to be a chess soldier. If you have any doubts, you can look for any of the patrolling soldiers here. There will be someone who will answer your questions. The patrolling soldier continued. I understand. Ning Fan no longer talked nonsense with the patrolling soldier. He immediately chose a cave abode and began his seclusion to repair the devil talisman. Before him, there were already 21 chess soldiers of the Western Army who entered this world in advance through the back door. After him, there would be others who would enter this world in advance. Obviously, Bei Xiaoman was not the only one who had the special authority. Another chess soldier has entered this world? I wonder which clan he belongs to. The chess soldiers of the Western Army who had entered this world in advance vaguely sensed Ning Fan's arrival. However, due to the restriction on spirit sense in the four-sided chess world, these people could not spread out their spirit sense to sense Ning Fan. Thus, they did not know who had entered this world. Repairing the devil talisman was destined to be a boring and long process. After Ning Fan came to the chess world, he did not go out for a single day. What he did every day was nothing more than staying in his cave abode, drinking some ancient devil blood wine and using the power of the wine to repair the devil talisman. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had passed. Ning Fan had finally repaired the devil talisman. All the ancient devil blood essence that he had lost had also been replenished. The grade of his ancestral blood finally began to rise rapidly. Unlike the hasty cultivation in the Green Lotus Sword clan, Ning Fan had a lot of time to slowly polish his ancestral blood in the four-sided chess world. Every time he cultivated a drop of ancestral blood, Ning Fan would spend several years to carefully integrate the ancestral blood into the devil talisman. The only troublesome thing was that there seemed to be a force in the chess world that hindered Ning Fan from concealing the phenomenon of his ancestral blood. As a result, every time Ning Fan cultivated a drop of ancient devil ancestral blood, everyone would know about it. The expressions of all the chess soldiers changed and they gathered together to discuss about it. Someone has cultivated the ancestral blood of the devil race in the southwestern cave abode. I wonder if he is a real ancient devil or a fake ancient devil. He should be a fake ancient devil. Where can we find an ancient devil or a devil ancestor during the Dharma ending era? Even if he is just a fake devil ancestor, he should be proud of himself. Being able to cultivate a drop of fake devil ancestral blood, even if he isn't an ancient immortal venerate, I'm afraid he is also an extremely powerful being among the true immortals. This was the discussion among the chess soldiers of the Western Army when Ning Fan cultivated the first drop of ancient devil ancestral blood. In the blink of an eye, 2 years had passed. Ning Fan began to integrate the second drop of ancestral blood into the devil talisman. What? It has only been less than 2 years and that person has actually cultivated another drop of ancestral blood. What exactly is his background? If that person is an immortal venerate devil cultivator, he must be an extremely powerful one. Amazing! Amazing! I admire him. Another few years passed and Ning Fan began to integrate the third drop of ancestral blood. 3 drops already. That person has cultivated 3 drops of ancestral blood. 3 drops of ancestral devil blood. Among the devil cultivators of the Northern Heaven, that person can be ranked in the top 10. There's nothing we can do about it. Who asked the Northern Heaven to have so few devil cultivators? Could this person be an immortal king from somewhere? Amazing! Amazing! I admire him. A few years later, the 4th drop arrived. 4 drops already. That person actually managed to cultivate 4 drops of ancestral devil blood in a row. I must have seen a fake phenomenon. Among the devil cultivators of the Northern Heaven, this person is at least ranked in the top 5. He must be an immortal emperor. A few years later, the 5th drop, the 6th drop, the 7th drop, the 8th drop, the medicinal power of the ancient devil blood wine was just too massive. It was the blood wine that Taoist Nine Sword had spent his entire life collecting. It consumed a total of 300 drops of pseudo-ancient devil ancestral blood to brew. The more Ning Fan cultivated, the more ancestral blood he had. The discussions in the military camp of the Western Army also became fewer and fewer. After seeing the phenomenon of Ning Fan's ancestral blood, the chess soldiers of the Western Army were no longer surprised. They had already become numb to it. When Ning Fan condensed the 14th drop of ancestral blood, a few chess soldiers who were playing chess and drinking tea in boredom raised their heads and glanced at him. Then, they lowered their heads and continued playing chess. The mirage in the Four Corners chess world is really a creation of heaven and earth. I almost believed that someone really managed to cultivate 14 drops of ancestral devil blood. Isn't it 13 drops? Isn't it 16 drops? Forget it. Who cares how many drops there are? Hurry up. It's time for you to leave. From the 7th level to the 8th level. 15 drops. 16 drops. Finally, the number of devil blood Ning Fan had was fixed at the 17th drop. In terms of the number of ancestral blood, Even the 9 great devil ancestors who were suppressed in the ancient devil's abyss did not have as much as him. Of course, if it were those great ancient devils on the Devil Conferral Summit, there would be some who had stronger devil blood than Ning Fan. The cultivation of devil blood gets harder as I progress further. The amount of bloodline energy required to cultivate from the 17th to the 18th drop is enough for an ancient devil with royal bloodline to produce 3 drops of ancestral blood. If I didn't sacrifice 10 drops of ancestral blood, I might be able to produce the 19th drop of devil blood or even the 20th drop. Ning Fan was just making a casual calculation. He did not regret sacrificing the 10 drops of ancestral blood. When Ning Fan only had 4 drops of ancestral blood, he could only draw the Devil Talisman 236 times because he did not have enough ancestral blood to continue. Now that he had 17 drops of ancestral blood, he could finally continue drawing the Devil Talisman that he could not finish in the past. He had too many wood elemental insights that he wanted to inscribe into the Devil Talisman. He wanted to inscribe all the insights that he had gained when he suppressed water cultivators with the wood element. He wanted to inscribe the qualitative changes of water and wood into the Devil Talisman. However, all of these were not what he wanted to inscribe into the Devil Talisman. He was a persistent cultivator. His devil path was obstinate and he did not have any regrets in the first place. Today, however, he wanted to inscribe a trace of regret into the Devil Talisman. The trace of regret. The number of strokes on the Devil Talisman increased. Ning Fan used all of those strokes to draw a green lotus that seemed to be smiling in the wind. In the past, Ning Fan only spent his life's insights and emotions to draw the Devil Talisman. This time, however, he wanted to inscribe all of his regrets in the past into the Devil Talisman. He wanted to inscribe that woman into his Devil Talisman. He wanted to remember that woman in his heart. This kind of regretful emotion might cause the Devil Talisman itself to be imperfect. However, he would rather keep this trace of imperfection than erase the green lotus from the Devil Talisman. 300 strokes. 400 strokes. 500 strokes. 506 strokes. Ning Fan's Devil Talisman strokes could no longer increase. He needed more ancestral blood to continue improving. The lines of the Devil Talisman swam on the surface of Ning Fan's body like tadpoles, making him look exceptionally demonic at this moment. If ordinary people see the Devil Talisman on Ning Fan's body, they would only feel an inexplicable chill in their hearts, but they would not understand the reason behind it. However, if an ancient devil sees such a Devil Talisman, he would certainly be intimidated by the might of the ancestral blood. If Ning Fan insists on intimidating them, an ancient devil with an ordinary bloodline would not even have the right to remain standing in front of him. The increase in the grade of his devil blood did not directly increase Ning Fan's cultivation base. Instead, it increased his control over his devil sense by more than 10 times. In the past, Ning Fan could not step into the second stage of the ancient devil atavism technique because he could not bear the devil sense of the second stage. Once he steps into the second stage, his rationality would certainly be devoured by the devil sense and he would become a killing machine. Now, however, he had a trace of qualification to step into the second stage of the ancient devil atavism technique with a clear mind. Let me try and see if I can step into the second stage of the atavism technique. Ning Fan activated the first stage of the atavism technique. His entire body emitted the blood steam of blood absorption regeneration. He began to attempt to step into the second stage of the atavism technique. This stage required the use of the eternal ancient true body. Therefore, the eternal ancient true body automatically manifested and slowly changed its appearance along with the second stage of the atavism technique. From the appearance of a golden flame giant, he slowly turned into a golden armored tree devil. With Ning Fan's magic power of 17,000 tribulations, activating the golden flame true body could increase his cultivation base to 1,000 tribulation realm. Turning from the golden flame true body into a golden armored tree devil, Ning Fan's cultivation base once again increased to 1,000 tribulation realm. Now, his magic power was almost comparable to a quasi-saint of 19,000 tribulation realm. This appearance of a golden armored tree devil is just like my second stage true body. This is the second stage true body that is triggered by the ancient devil atavism technique. It should be different from the ordinary second stage true body. In the past, Old Man Shui Yen used the second stage of the atavism technique and transformed into a devil tail. I don't seem to have succeeded in drawing out the power of that devil tail. Ning Fan's true body closed his devil eyes and concentrated his mind like never before. When he was concentrating his mind, he suddenly heard a voice calling out to him. That voice seemed to be coming from a very, very deep place. Ning Fan tried to find the source of the voice. Following the direction of the voice, his mind gradually sank into that unreachable place. After he closed his eyes, the world was clearly pitch black and he could not see anything. However, from that darkness, he saw an abyss that was darker than the darkness itself. That dark abyss seemed to be connected to Ning Fan's devil sense. That was why he could still see it even though it was separated by an endless amount of time and space. That abyss seemed to be sealed with countless devil creatures, waiting for the arrival of their prey. They were waiting for the day when they could escape from the devil abyss. Another ancient devil is here. Sink down. Quickly, sink down. This is the devil slave that I've taken a fancy to. No one is allowed to snatch him from me. I hope he's someone who is decisive in killing. That devil slave last time was too useless. I just controlled him to kill his wife and daughter and he went completely crazy. What a trash. This little fellow looks a little familiar. Oh? Old water freak, you know this little fellow? Among the devil creatures in the abyss, one of them who was called Old Water Freak vaguely recognized Ning Fan. That Old Water Freak's chi gave Ning Fan an extremely familiar feeling. During the battle of the Sovereign Heavenly Map, this person had once possessed the water-drowning emperor's body and fought against Ning Fan. He was the owner of the water-drowning emperor's devil spirit. He was the person who mocked Ning Fan for not being qualified to be a devil. With your innate potential, you will attain the second stage of ancestral awakening sooner or later. At that time, you will naturally know who I am. Before that, I will be watching you from the bottom of the abyss, waiting for you to come. However, even if you come, we devil spirits will not accept you because you are not qualified to be a devil. You can forget about obtaining the true power of rampage in your life. Those were the words that this devil used to mock Ning Fan that day. It's you. Ning Fan obviously recognized this devil creature. So that's how it is. The abyss that I'm seeing now is the abyss that the water-drowning emperor's devil sense fell into. The water-drowning emperor had borrowed power from this abyss in exchange for his devil tail rampage. That devil tail rampage was the true power of the second stage of ancestral awakening. Get lost. And your devil sense is too weak. You are not qualified to be a devil at all. We devil spirits will never accept you. Old Water Freak snorted coldly and suddenly let out a heaven-piercing devil roar. The power of his roar was like countless devil seas crashing towards Ning Fan, nearly drowning the devil sense that Ning Fan had fallen into. However, it was still slightly lacking. Ning Fan's devil sense did not get erased in the end. It was because the level of Ning Fan's devil sense was no longer the same as before. When Ning Fan first met Old Water Freak, he was just a devil ancestor with 4 bloodlines. Now, he was the 17th blood devil ancestor. The level of his devil blood was countless times stronger than before. Impossible! How long has it been? How did his devil blood become so powerful? Old Water Freak was shocked. Then his sneer became even more intense. This young man must have borrowed some kind of opportunity to forcefully raise his devil power to this level. It's not worth mentioning. So what if you are the 17th blood devil ancestor? If it wasn't because my devil spirit was sealed, how could I not scare you away with my roar? Unfortunately, even if you can enter the abyss of the devil Tao, you still can't condense a devil tail without our help. It's impossible for you to reach the 3rd stage of ancestral awakening and borrow power from us who are at the 3rd step or above. That Old Water Freak seemed to have a very high standard. Ning Fan was obviously a terrifying ancient devil with 17 bloodlines, but he actually talked about him as if he was talking about trash. As soon as the other devil creatures heard Old Water Freak belittling Ning Fan, they immediately asked for the reason. After they found out that Ning Fan was actually a trash who did not deserve to be a devil, all of them lost interest in him. None of them wanted to take him as their devil slave anymore. The 5 innate spirits are gods, devils, demons, immortals, and ghosts. In the past, I thought that ancient devils were imitating the divine spirits. Now that I think about it again, it seems to be inaccurate. Instead of saying that the second stage of ancestral awakening is a divine spirit, it's more like a devil spirit. This place seems to be an abyss of the devil Tao where the devil spirits are sealed. Its actual location isn't in the illusory dream world but somewhere else. The reason why I can see this abyss is because of my devil sense, which has entered the second stage of ancestral awakening. Thus, I have a trace of connection with this place. The reason why the submerged water emperor could grow a devil tail and his cultivation base skyrocketed was because he became the devil slave of these devil spirits. He gave up his dignity in exchange for power. Ning Fan suddenly sneered in disdain. What he was disdainful of were the devil spirits of this place and the submerged water emperor who served them as their master. If in the eyes of the devil spirits of this place, only the servile submerged water emperor deserved to be called a devil lord, then Ning Fan would rather never be qualified to be a devil. The devil Tao that he wanted to cultivate was definitely not these devil spirits in front of him. What he wanted to cultivate was the black devil Tao that was taught to him by the old devil. I told you to get lost. Didn't you hear me? That old water wanted to expel Ning Fan again. However, why would Ning Fan listen to him? He would not leave. He had no interest in the devil spirits of this place. However, he was interested in this abyss of the devil Tao. Ning Fan kept sending his devil sense down. He wanted to send it straight into the deepest part of the abyss of the devil Tao. Even the submerged water emperor and the others did not dare to do this because once they make a mistake, their devil sense would be suppressed in the abyss forever and be imprisoned together with the devil spirits of this place. What a reckless little fellow. Since you want to fall into this place and become one of us, then just fall into it. Fall. Quickly fall into it. Come and suffer the pain of purgatory with us. Strange. This young man doesn't seem to be an ordinary person. Why hasn't his devil sense been imprisoned by this abyss of the devil Tao? Wait, why is there a ray of divine light hidden in this young man's devil sense? He's a goddamn divine spirit. He's actually an ancient divine spirit. The devil spirits in the abyss seem to have noticed Ning Fan's identity as an ancient divine spirit. Thus, they became extremely excited. Those devil spirits began to curse and swear. The more they cursed, the uglier and uglier they became. Thus, Ning Fan directly shut off his spiritual sense and stopped listening to their nonsense. He sank his devil sense into the abyss of the devil Tao and tried to form a devil tail that belonged only to him with his own devil sense. He did not want any devil lord to reward him with a devil tail. He wanted to cultivate it by himself. Unfortunately, it was too difficult. Ning Fan had even used his comprehension ability of the second level of the heavenly being realm, but he only managed to condense a tail root. In order to truly cultivate the first devil tail that belonged to him, it seemed like he would need an endless amount of time. He's indeed trash. It's just wishful thinking to cultivate a devil tail with his own efforts. If he can cultivate a devil tail with his own strength, it would be equivalent to cultivating another identity of a devil spirit. Is this possible? This young man isn't even a saint yet he's dreaming of doing something that even the Saint D Fire realm can't do. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. But it's still very strange. Even if this young man is a divine spirit, he shouldn't be able to endure it after sinking into the abyss of the devil Tao for so long. No. There's something wrong with this young man's physique. What kind of physique is this? Why haven't I seen it before? There seems to be 5 balls of spiritual chi protecting his devil sense. That's why he isn't afraid of this abyss of the devil Tao. All the devil spirits were astonished. Before these devil spirits were sealed, each of them was at least a third-step expert. Now, however, they were all shocked speechless by a junior like Ning Fan. Ning Fan shielded his spiritual sense. He was too lazy to listen to the nonsense of these devil spirits. Naturally, he did not know how many ancient existences he had shocked by not being afraid of the abyss of the Devil Dao. He was just instinctively not afraid of the abyss of the Devil Dao in this place. That was why he dared to directly send his devil sense into this place. As for why he was not afraid, Ning Fan also had no idea. However, when 5 balls of clear qi flew out of his devil sense, 4 of which were dark and 1 of which was bright, he seemed to have understood something. I see. It's my primordial spirit physique that is secretly protecting my devil sense. All of a sudden, Ning Fan had a bold idea. There were too many devil spirits' power in this abyss of the Devil Dao. He wanted to try and see if he could use the primordial spirit physique to cultivate the bloodline of ancient devil spirits. Absorb! As Ning Fan gave his order, the ball of clear qi that belonged to the devil spirit among the 5 balls of clear qi began to absorb the devil spirit power of the abyss of the Devil Dao at a crazy rate. The devil spirit's clear qi that was originally dim finally showed signs of becoming brighter. Impossible! What kind of physique does this kid have? He actually dares to devour the abyss of the Devil Dao. Devil God. He wants to become a true devil god. Stop him! Quickly stop him! If the devil spirit power in this place dissipates, we will never be able to return. Let's attack together and chase him away. Inside the 4-sided chess world, Ning Fan suddenly let out a devil roar. His black hair grew longer and longer. His second stage true body of the tree devil also began to turn extremely dark. It was the abyss of the Devil Dao that was countless times darker than the darkness itself. Roar! Ning Fan let out a painful devil roar. That kind of pain was like giving birth to a new life. Then, the first devil tail of black flames finally grew out from his back. When the first devil tail of black flames grew out, Ning Fan's magic power skyrocketed by 3,000 tribulations, reaching 22,000 tribulations. He was losing more and more of his rationality, but the second devil tail was gradually growing out. When the second devil tail grew out, his magic power skyrocketed to 25,000 tribulations. Inside his body, the devil spirit bloodline was being created and born. This was the great opportunity that he had obtained by directly devouring the abyss of the Devil Dao. The excessively violent magic power had exceeded the limit that Ning Fan could bear. The skin of Ning Fan's tree devil began to crack. Black-colored devil blood kept flowing out from the wounds. At this moment, Ning Fan's devil blood turned black. At this moment, Ning Fan had the tendency of condensing his third devil tail. If he can condense this devil tail, his magic power would increase by another 2,000 tribulations. Unfortunately, the third devil tail broke before it could be condensed. Someone was preventing him from devouring the abyss of the Devil Dao. Those devil spirits that were sealed had attacked him together and chased him out of the abyss of the Devil Dao. Damn it! I was so close to condensing my third tail. Ning Fan was unwilling to give up. He wanted to sink his devil sense into the abyss of the Devil Dao again. Unfortunately, he could no longer do it. His arrogant act of devouring the abyss of the Devil Dao had angered all the devil spirits in this world. He had become the public enemy of all devil spirits. He had become an absolute unregistered person in the abyss of the Devil Dao. No one in the abyss of the Devil Dao would take the initiative to contact him anymore. If he wanted to devour the abyss of the Devil Dao again, he could only go to the true reincarnation coordinates of the abyss and fight his way there. Then he would seize it and plunder it. Of course, it was an unrealistic thing. Just a little bit more. What a pity! Ning Fan shook his head helplessly. He had no choice but to accept the fact that he only had second last. Even though he only had second last, he was still the one who benefited from it. Thus, even though he felt regretful, he could still let it go. In the end, he managed to forcefully cultivate the second stage of ancestral awakening, and he even reached the second stage. What was more precious was that he managed to cultivate a trace of devil spirit bloodline that belonged to him. Unfortunately, this trace of devil spirit bloodline did not reach the level of the crippled devil spirit body. If he could really cultivate it to the level of the crippled devil spirit body, he might be able to awaken some kind of devil spirit innate talent. After all, the myriad things communication was the ability he obtained when he cultivated the crippled divine spirit body. In this state, my magic power is even stronger than many second-level quasi-saints. Unfortunately, I can't maintain this state for long. In order to maintain this state, he needed to continuously burn the devil blood in his body in exchange for power. In the first stage of ancestral awakening, he would absorb the blood of his enemies. In the second stage, he would consume his own devil blood. In just less than 10 breaths of time, Ning Fan had already burned away 1/10 of his ancient devil blood essence. At this rate, he would only be able to maintain this state for 100 breaths of time. Then he would be done for. He had no choice but to remove the state in a hurry. Moreover, he would need to cultivate diligently to replenish his devil blood. After all, he had already drunk all the ancient devil blood wine. It would not be easy for him to replenish his devil blood. Fortunately, the state of second last would not consume his ancestral blood. Otherwise, it would be really difficult for him to recover if he accidentally burned the ancestral blood in his body. As for the second stage of ancestral awakening technique, I can't simply use it unless I'm in a life or death situation. With Ning Fan's current strength, even if he could not defeat a second-level quasi-saint, he did not need to risk his life. He could just leave calmly and the other party would not be able to stop him. Only when he faces ancient great cultivators or multiple second-level quasi-saints would he need to risk his life to escape. Ning Fan pondered for a long time. Suddenly, he recalled something. He circulated his Genesis primordial spirit body and released the 5 balls of clear chi. At this moment, the 5 balls of clear chi were no longer 4 dark and 1 bright. Although the clear chi that belonged to the devil spirit had not been completely lit up, it had lit up 1/5 of it. If the clear chi is completely lit up, it would mean that he had truly cultivated a devil spirit. At his current stage, he would at most possess a small amount of devil spirit bloodline. A 2-tailed devil spirit could only light up 1/5 of the devil spirit bloodline. From this point of view, he would at least need to cultivate a 10-tailed devil spirit before he could be considered to have truly cultivated the crippled devil spirit body. However, he did not know if there was any other way to cultivate a 10-tailed devil spirit after being rejected by the abyss of devil Dao. Not good. I forgot that this world can't conceal unusual phenomena. The trace of devil spirit bloodline that I have cultivated is highly likely to cause a monstrous phenomenon. Ning Fan thought to himself. If his devil spirit phenomenon is seen by others, wouldn't they know that he has cultivated a devil spirit body? Then, he felt that he was worrying too much. It was unknown if there was anyone who could recognize the devil spirit phenomenon in the Age of Chaos. Even if there was, it was unlikely that they were the chess soldiers who were not even immortal emperors. Just as expected, the fact that Ning Fan had cultivated a small amount of devil spirit bloodline had indeed caused a terrifying phenomenon. It was the phenomenon of 10,000 devils paying homage to him. In the phenomenon, the shadow of the devil spirit that symbolized Ning Fan was sitting on a throne. Below the throne were the shadows of countless ancient devils prostrating themselves on the ground and worshipping him devoutly. Even a quasi-saint ancient devil. An ancient great cultivator or an ancient devil. Even the shadows of saints and ancient devils were worshipping Ning Fan devoutly. Such a phenomenon was simply ridiculous and ridiculous. Those chess soldiers of the Western Army who had long become numb to the phenomenon did not even bother to look at it anymore. It was because the phenomenon was too fake. Saints were noble beings. Even when facing a 4th-step immortal sovereign, they would not kneel to him. How could it be possible for all the saints to kneel to welcome the arrival of 10,000 devils? Amazing! Amazing! I really admire you. This mirage is becoming more and more realistic. I almost believed it. Ha! Come, let's drink. Why bother about it? It's just a mirage. Joyful laughter resounded in the Western Army's camp. This scene proved the old saying again. When a high-ranking officer hears the Tao, he practices diligently. When a middle-ranking officer hears the Tao, he either lives or dies. When a low-ranking officer hears the Tao, he laughs loudly. If he doesn't laugh, he won't be able to attain the Tao. Looking at the time, the second round is about to officially begin. Ning Fan walked out of his cave residence and summoned a patrolling stone soldier to him. He then asked him about the current time. In the chess world, there were less than 100 days before the start of the second round. If converted to the time in the outside world, it would be about the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. In order to recover my devil blood, I have forgotten about interrogating the female demon. After I help Xiaomen win the second round, I'll deal with this demon again. Chapter 12:31. As the second round of the competition officially began, the number of chess soldiers in the four-sided chess world began to increase. As he was in the chess world, Ning Fan did not know how grand the second round of the competition would be in the outside world. Presumably, the battle in the chess world would begin soon. All the disciples of the three palaces of the Lost World Palace were qualified to participate in the second round regardless of their cultivation base. Each of them had to register a minimum of 6 and a maximum of 36 chess soldiers and generals. As a result, there were more than 10,000 disciples of the three palaces participating in the competition, and more than 200,000 chess soldiers and generals had entered the four-sided chess world. Even though there was a force-suppressing spirit sense in the four-sided chess world, it could not stop Ning Fan's rain technique. After all, Ning Fan had cultivated the rain palm position and devoured a trace of the title of rain. It was naturally not difficult to know the number of chess soldiers participating in the competition. According to his senses, there were more than 50,000 chess soldiers and generals gathered in the military camp of the Western Army. As time passed, the number of chess soldiers and generals continued to increase. As a result, the military camp, which was initially empty, suddenly became lively. Many cultivators set up stalls and set up markets to trade the magic treasures and elixirs they needed in preparation for the upcoming battle. With Ning Fan's cultivation base and experience, he was not interested in the trade between low-grade cultivators. Thus, he did not pay attention to it at all. He only focused on consolidating the grade of his devil blood. One day, while Ning Fan was cultivating in his cave dwelling, a bright light suddenly flashed in front of him and an immortal book was sent to him. As the second round began, all the chess soldiers and generals who participated in the competition received an immortal book which was used to store chess world talismans. An immortal book could store up to 10,000 chess world talismans at most. At the beginning of the competition, each of them would be randomly given 3 basic talismans. This kind of talisman could only be used in the chess world. It was called Chess World Talisman by the common people. Any one of these talisman papers had great power. The 3 talisman papers that Ning Fan obtained were the Immortal Burning Talisman, the Devil Increasing Talisman, and the Astronomical Phenomenon Changing Talisman. Ning Fan looked at the 3 talisman papers and felt a headache. He could not remember the effects of these 3 talisman papers. He also did not know what effect they would have after he used them. He had no other choice but to ask them personally. "Tell me what they are for." Soon, Ning Fan found out the uses of the 3 talisman papers. After the Immortal Burning Talisman was used, it could release a fire technique in the middle stage of shedding void to attack the enemy. If it was used against an enemy with the status of Chess Fairy, its power would be doubled. The Demon Increase Talisman could only be used by cultivators with the identity of the Chess Demon. After using it, it could increase the cultivation level of the Duzhen cultivator by a small realm for a short period of time. The higher the cultivation level of the user, the weaker the effect of the talisman. The higher the user's cultivation base was, the weaker the talisman paper. The phenomenon-changing talisman paper could be used to. I am of the talisman papers. Of the talisman paper. In order to test the principle of the chess realm talisman, he had already used it before the battle began. Of the talisman paper, the talisman. The talisman. The phenomenon burning was of burning of talisman. the sky of the world. The talisman was burning talisman. Palace of heaven. Battle in heaven of the Selisman army. Heaven talisman stage of the god. After the devil increasing talisman was used, the clear sky of the West Army's military camp suddenly turned into the environment of devil clouds. The phenomenon lasted for 40 breaths. Then it disappeared. Ning Fan's ancient devil essence chi rose to more than 100 tribulations under the environment of the devil clouds. The phenomenon-changing talisman could be of some use. Unfortunately, it was used up. The shop that sells chess world talismans seems to be open. I wonder if I can buy some more? The strange phenomenon in the military camp could not be hidden from the other chess soldiers. Many experienced chess players were guessing if there was a fool who used up all the talismans as soon as he got them. I wonder which clan's chess soldier is the one who did such a stupid thing. I just walked out of my cave for a walk and happened to see something. It seems to be done by the chess devil of the 4th Young Mistress clan. The 4th Young Mistress is really pitiful. She actually invited such an idiot as a helper. Without the chess world talisman, he won't be able to protect himself in the chess battle. Look. That person is walking towards us. Ning Fan walked towards the shop. The experienced chess players in the surroundings immediately pointed at him and whispered to each other. Due to the isolation force inside the four-sided chess world, ordinary people could only vaguely recognize Ning Fan's silhouette. They could not see his face clearly. Therefore, they could only recognize him based on the chess devil's token hanging on his waist. From time to time, some experienced chess players who had participated in the chess battle would laugh at Ning Fan's stupidity. When they saw Ning Fan walking towards the shop, a few busybodies could not stand it anymore. They reminded him, "Hey, little fellow. The chess battle has yet to begin. You don't have any battle points. Even if you enter the shop in the military camp, you won't be able to buy anything." Ning Fan's magic power was comparable to a quasi-saint realm expert. However, he was called a little fellow by a few cultivators of the Dujin realm. "Thank you for reminding me." Ning Fan did not know whether to laugh or cry. However, he did not care too much about such a trivial matter. He still entered one of the shops in the military camp. Inside the shop, 22 types of basic talismans were displayed for cultivators to purchase. The prices of the talismans ranged from 500 to 2,000 battle points. The shopkeeper of the shop was also a nascent Soul Realm stone soldier puppet. When he saw Ning Fan entering the shop, he did not welcome him at all. His attitude was extremely cold. "I don't have any battle points. Can I use my Dao crystal to buy these talismans?" Ning Fan asked. The nascent Soul Realm puppet answered indifferently. "Can I use other things to exchange for them?" Ning Fan asked again. The nascent Soul Realm puppet did not show any signs of impatience. It was as if there was nothing in the world that could trigger its emotions. "I can only use my battle points to buy talismans, huh? I understand now." Ning Fan walked out of the shop and entered the second one. The second shop displayed 14 types of basic talismans. The types of talismans were different from the first shop. Ning Fan then looked at the other shops. Each of them only sold 10 to 20 types of talismans. Didn't they say that there are 3,000 types of talismans in the chess world? All the shops here seem to have only sold around 100 types of talismans. Why is that? Ning Fan asked the shopkeeper of one of the shops. The shops in the military camp only sell low-grade talismans. Mid-grade talismans can only be obtained through synthesis and fortuitous encounters. High-grade talismans can only be obtained through synthesis. One of the stone soldier puppets answered. Synthesis? In that case, I seem to have heard about the specific rules of synthesis from Xiao Man. Ning Fan tried his best to search through his memories. Little Fan, from now on, I will teach you the rules of the chess world talismans. 1 minor immortal speed talisman, 2 demon sense talismans and 1 great devil body talisman can be synthesized into a mid-grade immortal speed talisman. 2 immortal burning talismans and 4 blood return talismans can be synthesized into a blood-sucking talisman. This talisman can be used 3 times. Don't ever forget this. Also, Xiao Man did explain a lot of rules of synthesis. However, because the rules were too complicated, Ning Fan was too lazy to remember them. What was he doing at that time? Oh, that's right. He was admiring Bei Xiaoman's face when she explained the rules seriously. He felt that this little girl's serious expression was very cute. It's really troublesome. Originally, Ning Fan was slightly interested in the principles behind the formation of the chess world talismans. Now, his interest was completely gone. The rules and whatnot were too troublesome. In short, I just have to defeat all my enemies. At the same time, in the Eastern Army camp, 6 beast-like and human-like cultivators appeared in the Eastern Army's barracks. When the soldiers of the Eastern Army saw these people, they were all shocked and started discussing among themselves. They are members of the Realm Beast clan. Didn't the Realm Beast clan say that they are not interested in the second round of the chess battle? Why are they here as well? Do you even need to ask? They must have been invited by our Great Elder. Only our Great Elder can interact with the Realm Beast clan, which has a strange temperament. I really don't know how he managed to gain their favor. Those few old monsters of the Realm Beast clan seem to be at the immortal venerable realm in the past. They are too strong. Our Great Elder has just abandoned his cultivation base. How did he manage to invite the immortal venerable realm in the past? There seems to be an inside story behind this. Hiss. Impossible. What are those few Realm Beast immortal venerables trying to do? The chess battle has yet to begin, but they actually want to leave the army camp in advance. As the chess battle had yet to begin, there was a faint golden light barrier outside the Eastern Army camp. Even ordinary immortal emperors would not be able to leave the army camp while facing the light barrier. However, these few Realm Beast immortal venerables just needed to use their divine ability, and they directly traversed through space and appeared outside the army camp. After a few more flashes, their figures disappeared among the boundless mountains and seas, nowhere to be found. Cough cough, this old man might have seen wrongly. No matter how strong they are, it is impossible for them to leave the army camp in advance. One of the soldiers of the Eastern Army tried to explain. You're right. You're right. This must be a type of shadow in the chess world. Every time the Four Corners chess world opens, many strange things will happen. It's not surprising at all. Ning Fan originally planned to return to his cave residence to rest. However, all of a sudden, he sensed his rain technique vaguely. It seemed like a few chess soldiers of the Eastern Army had left the army camp in advance. Even though Ning Fan could resist the interference of the chess world to release the rain technique, he would still be affected by it. If he was too far away, his senses would also become blurry. Interesting. There are actually people who can leave the army camp in advance. The chi of those few people is quite familiar. They seem to be realm beasts. Ning Fan did not have a good impression of the Realm Beast clan. Thus, he followed closely behind them and left the army camp. He wanted to see what those realm beasts were plotting. Whatever they were plotting was what he wanted to destroy. Since he had nothing to do, he might as well find something to do. With Ning Fan's cultivation base, if he wants to leave the army camp, ordinary people would not be able to sense him. Only a few chess soldiers of the Western Army heard a loud bang. When they raised their heads to take a look, they realized that there was a huge hole in the light screen of the army camp for some reason. However, the hole quickly healed. Strange things happen every year. There are especially many this year. Let's drink up. We must have seen wrongly. In the battlefield of the chess world, the terrain was ever-changing. You might think that you are moving in a straight line, but you might just be walking in circles. At this moment, the few Realm Beasts immortal venerables had encountered such a situation. It was already their 4th time walking back to a certain misty mountain. This Four Corners chess world is indeed extraordinary. With our cultivation bases, we actually can't tell the direction at all. Among the 6 of them, thunder-robed immortal venerables from the Thunder Rush world said with a grim expression. Then use your secret technique to sense it. The elderly immortal venerables from the Eastern Realm ordered. Let me do it. Realm Sense Technique. The red-faced immortal venerables from the Fire world suddenly released their spirit sense and strangely became one with the heaven and earth of this world. This was the secret technique of the Realm Beast clan. It allowed them to merge their spirit sense into the world and sense the situation of the entire world. However, this time, this secret technique which had always been successful actually failed. The red-faced immortal venerables suddenly coughed out a mouthful of blood. The spirit sense that he merged with the Four Corners chess world was completely shattered. What happened? The immortal venerables asked in shock. It failed. There is a trace of the spirit sense of an immortal country hidden in this world. It cannot be trespassed. The immortal venerables who used the technique said with hatred. Did you plant the coordinates of the realm sense to lock onto the location of the Southern Army camp? At the moment when the spirit sense was shattered, I planted some. All right. Let's follow the coordinates of the realm sense and advance towards the Southern Army camp. The eyes of the Realm Beast immortal venerables were actually looking at the Southern Army camp which had been abandoned for countless years. The immortal venerables helped the injured immortal venerables to suppress their injuries and continued their journey. After a long time, a bright light suddenly flashed in this desolate place. Ning Fan's figure appeared. The Southern Army? With a flash, Ning Fan disappeared on the spot and chased after them again. The Lost World Palace originally had 4 palaces. However, due to some reasons, the Nangong bloodline had completely disappeared in the long river of history. When the Realm Beast immortal venerables arrived at the Southern Army camp, what they saw was a scene of ruins everywhere. What exactly did the old ancestor send us here to find? This place should have been plundered countless times. It's impossible for there to be any treasures left. The red-faced immortal venerables asked in confusion. We're not looking for treasures. We're looking for people. The elderly immortal venerables answered. Looking for people? The Nangong Palace has already been destroyed. There are no chess soldiers in the Southern Army camp. Who are we looking for? The thunder-robed immortal venerables asked. Wang Ji. The elderly immortal venerables' words were shocking. Everyone turned pale with fright when they heard his words. Isn't that Wang Ji a legendary figure? Could it be that the ancient legend of the Lank clan in the Stone Room Mountain is actually true? Does Wang Ji really exist? If he really exists, it's impossible that the Lost World Palace doesn't know about him. Silence! The elderly immortal venerables shouted in displeasure. Seeing that everyone had quietened down, he continued to explain, all of you should have heard that the old ancestor sneaked into this place 4,000,000 years ago and was severely injured. Isn't that just a rumor? The others asked in confusion. Rumor? Ha, that's just a story to deceive people. The old ancestor was indeed injured. The person who injured him was a weirdo who called himself Wang Ji. Hiss. The old ancestor is a second-stage quasi-saint. This person could even injure the old ancestor. Could it be that he's an ancient great cultivator? The crowd was shocked. Most likely. What should we do? That person could even injure the old ancestor. Aren't we just seeking death by coming here to find him? Don't be afraid. The old ancestor said that the person has a strange character, but he's not a bloodthirsty person. Otherwise, the old ancestor wouldn't have just been severely injured. At the very least, his cultivation would have dropped. According to the old ancestor, he met that weirdo in the vicinity of the Southern Army's military camp. Things have changed with the passage of time. We don't know if that person is still here. If he is, we need to find this person, and so on and so forth. Before the elderly immortal venerables could finish his words, they suddenly heard a sigh of vicissitudes in the air. It was as if the will of the heavens was suppressing and had an unparalleled might. The moment the sigh resounded, all the trees within a radius of 10,000 li were cut in half as if they were chopped down by the Tao intent of the owner of the sigh. This person's Tao intent was like an invisible axe that could chop down all the trees in the world. The Realm Beast immortal venerables were immediately bewildered. They looked around for the source of the sigh but couldn't find it. They suddenly turned around and found out that a white-haired old man dressed like a woodcutter had appeared behind them. Are you looking for something? The old woodcutter said with a distressed expression. Could this person be that weirdo Wang Ji? The Realm Beast immortal venerables were shocked. Oh, this old man knows. You must be like this old man, having lost your beloved axes. Did you lose this golden axe or this silver axe? The old woodcutter waved his hands and 2 axes, 1 gold and 1 silver, appeared in each of his hands. Be it the golden axe or the silver axe, they were both innate middle-grade magic treasures. The realm beast immortal venerables felt their breathing stagnate. Especially the elderly immortal venerables, they were so nervous that they were sweating. This was the problem. When the old ancestor met this weirdo, he was also asked the same question. At that time, the old ancestor didn't know how powerful this weirdo was. Seeing that he had 2 innate middle-grade magic treasures, he tried to snatch them but was defeated by this weirdo. The gold and silver axes were extremely powerful. The old ancestor was injured by these axes for more than 4 million years, but the wound still couldn't heal and was still bleeding. The injury caused by these axes was too difficult to heal. The reason why the realm beast immortal venerables came here was not because of the Eastern Palace Great Elder, but to ask for medicine to heal the old ancestor's injury. If it was the owner of the gold and silver axes, there might be a way to solve the injury caused by these axes. Senior, please allow us to report. The reason why we came here is to ask Senior for a way to cure the injuries of the gold and silver axes. What happened in the past was due to my old ancestor's recklessness. I hope that Senior can forgive us and cure him. As long as Senior shows mercy, the Realm Beast clan is willing to offer 10 immortal venerables Dao fruits and 10 trillion Dao crystals. The elderly immortal venerables rambled on and took out many gifts, trying to please the old woodcutter. The old woodcutter, on the other hand, just frowned and felt sorry for himself. He was too lazy to listen to any nonsense and did not even bother to look at the gifts that were piled up like a mountain in front of him. What? Aren't you guys here to look for the axes? How boring. If only I wasn't obsessed with that immortal chess in the past. Why can't I control my eyes? The old woodcutter kept the axes and suddenly raised his head. He looked at a place in the sky where there was no one around and asked, "Little friend, why don't you show yourself?" When Ning Fan heard his words, he showed himself and looked at the old woodcutter with an extremely solemn expression. This old woodcutter was actually a great cultivator from ancient times. Ning Fan had never thought that there would be an ancient great cultivator hiding in this place. Could this person be an old ancestor-level figure of the Lost World Palace? What made Ning Fan more fearful was that the Dao sense of this old woodcutter greatly suppressed his wood element power. If they really fight, his wood element would suffer a great loss. Senior, are you from the Lost World Palace? Ning Fan landed on the ground and asked. All the venerables of the myriad realms were shocked and enraged. They had never thought that they would be secretly followed by Ning Fan. Lost World Palace? What's that? The old woodcutter's face was filled with bewilderment. May I know which sect Senior is from in Northern Heaven? Ning Fan was slightly surprised and asked again. Northern Heaven? What's that? The old woodcutter's face was still filled with bewilderment. Ning Fan was even more surprised. This person seemed to know nothing about the Lost World Palace or the existence of Northern Heaven. His ignorant and ill-informed look did not seem to be an act at all. Where are you from, Senior? Exilian County, Dongping Village. Are these the names of the places of the true world? What's the true world? The old woodcutter's face was filled with bewilderment. He was like a blank piece of paper that knew nothing about cultivation. Ning Fan wore a thoughtful expression as if he was thinking about the old woodcutter's background. Even though this person's cultivation base was extremely high, he was different from everyone Ning Fan had met in the past. This person did not fit in with the cultivation world at all. He did not look like a cultivator at all. He was more like a mortal who obtained a supreme cultivation base by chance. Moreover, Ning Fan could not feel any schemes or hostility towards the outside world from this person. May I ask if little friend has seen this old man's iron axe? This old man has lost his iron axe. No. Ning Fan answered. Sigh. Forget it then. I'll go to other places to look for my axe. The old woodcutter became even more disappointed. He no longer cared about Ning Fan. With a flash, his figure disappeared without a trace. Wait, Senior, please wait. The myriad realm beast venerables were enraged. They had spent a lot of effort to find the king corpse that their old ancestor requested. However, Ning Fan had ruined their plan. Thus, all of their anger was instantly directed at Ning Fan. Who are you? Why did you follow us here? Could it be that you want to become enemies with our realm beast race? The myriad realm beast venerables shouted angrily. They could only blame Ning Fan's chi for being too reserved under the cover of the cloud chi. These people could not see how terrifying he was at all. However, these realm beast venerables blindly believed in their own senses. Since they could not sense how terrifying Ning Fan was, they thought that Ning Fan must be an insignificant junior who was good at hiding but had a low cultivation base. When they looked at Ning Fan's waist token again, they realized that he was just a chess devil invited by Bei Xiaoman. Thus, they did not put him in their eyes anymore. What was Bei Xiaoman's cultivation base? She was just a junior of the Lost World Palace. What chess devil could this woman invite? There was nothing to worry about. So what if we become enemies? Ning Fan said indifferently. You're courting death. Immediately, one of the realm beast venerables flew into a rage and used the realm palm technique at Ning Fan. A palm imprint formed by the power of the realm descended from the sky and slammed down on Ning Fan. That palm imprint was the furious attack of an ancient immortal venerable. It had the power to destroy heaven and earth. However, Ning Fan did not even bother to dodge it. He directly swallowed the palm imprint with his devil mouth. How is this possible? All the realm beast venerables were shocked. At this moment, how could they not see Ning Fan's strength? Unfortunately, they could not run away. Ning Fan stretched out his devil palm, which seemed to be able to cover the entire sky. No matter how those realm beast venerables tried to escape, they were still within the range of Ning Fan's palm and were easily caught by him. Quasi-saint. This man must be a quasi-saint. Otherwise, how could we not have the power to fight back? All the realm beast venerables were nearly scared out of their wits. However, they quickly calmed down. It was because no one could be killed in the Four Corners chess world. Those who are killed would be protected by the Four Corners chess world and could directly be reborn in the outside world. Ning Fan, of course, also sensed this. In this Four Corners chess world, there was an invisible force that protected the chess soldiers who participated in the battle. But so what? Ning Fan clenched his devil palm and crushed the physical bodies of the immortal venerables. Then, he threw their primordial spirits into the divine refining cauldron and refined them to death one by one. The Four Corners chess world might stop him from killing people with ordinary means. However, if he kills people with divine means, even the Four Corners chess world would not be able to stop him. It was just killing a few realm beast venerables. Ning Fan did not care about it at all. What he cared about was that old woodcutter. Who exactly is that great cultivator called Wang Ji? After killing the 6 realm beast immortal venerables, Ning Fan obtained a total of 18 elementary chess world talismans and 6,000 battle points. However, he was no longer interested in the chess world talismans and battle points at the moment. Ning Fan casually swallowed the 10 immortal venerables' Dao fruits that the realm beast immortal venerables brought by the realm beast immortal venerables and returned to his cave dwelling with his spoils of war. Then, he went to refine the immortal venerables' Dao fruits. A few days ago, an immortal mountain that had been submerged in the sea for 1,000 years suddenly rose from the bottom of the time sea. Today, this mountain had become the battlefield for the second round of competition between the disciples of the 3 palaces. This mountain was called the Stone Chamber Mountain. It was the holy land in the eyes of all the chess experts in the northern heaven. It was also the place where the second round of competition of the Lost World Palace would be held. It would only surface once every 1,000 years. The reason why this mountain was famous was because of a primordial legend. It was said that in the primordial era, there was a mortal woodcutter called Wang Ji who mistakenly entered the Stone Chamber Mountain. By chance, he saw a few immortals playing chess. Wang Ji was watching the game at the side. He was too engrossed in the game that he actually stood there and watched for a long time. When the game ended and he left the Stone Chamber Mountain, he realized that 100 years had already passed in the outside world. There was not a single old friend left in the mortal world. To mortals, a game of chess played by immortals for 100 years might be considered as an anecdote. However, to immortal cultivators, it was actually not a shocking matter. However, in the hearts of the chess experts of the future generations, the Stone Chamber Mountain still had a very important meaning. After all, this mountain was the place where the dignified immortal cultivators of the ancient times played chess. 1,000 years was easy to pass, but it was hard to turn back time. The immortal cultivators of the ancient times had already left, leaving an empty mountain for the future generations to remember. Countless chess experts of the northern heaven gathered in this place just to admire the Stone Chamber Mountain that only surfaced once every 1,000 years. As the palace lord of the Lost World Palace, Yuan Yao was so busy that she felt dizzy. She had to receive too many distinguished guests. Occasionally, she would find some free time and glance at the progress of the game between her 4 daughters. Obviously, she was still very concerned about her daughter's results in the second round. It was perfectly normal for her to look forward to her daughter's success. Every mother hoped that their daughters could be outstanding. The second round of the competition was not a competition of fighting skills, but the chess skills of the disciples of the 3 palaces. The scene of tens of thousands of chess players playing chess at the same time and killing each other in pairs was quite shocking. As the competition officially began, the disciples of the 3 palaces were assigned their opponents to determine the winner on the chessboard. Bei Xiaoman's first game had also begun. Coincidentally, her first opponent was the personal disciple of the great elder of the Eastern Palace, Eugene. This Eugene was born with a cold face, as if nothing in the world could cause any fluctuation in his emotions. The way he looked at Bei Xiaoman had a kind of condescension that came from his bones. His master looked down on the palace lord of the Lost World Palace, Yuan Yao, and he also looked down on Yuan Yao's 4 daughters. "You are not my opponent. I heard that your chess skills are not bad. Unfortunately, in the face of absolute chess soldiers, your chess skills are useless," Eugene said proudly. "Damn it. I heard that your master found a way to invite the immortal venerable of the Realm Beast clan to be his chess soldier." Bei Xiaoman gritted her teeth in anger. The disciples of the 3 palaces were just playing chess, but they actually invited the immortal venerable of the Realm Beast clan to be their chess soldier. Moreover, there were a total of 10,000 disciples in the 3 palaces. How low was the probability of her drawing her opponent in the first round to be the personal disciple of the great elder? No matter how she looked at it, it did not seem like a coincidence. It was more like the great elder did it on purpose. Bei Xiaoman knew her limits. Her chess skills were not bad, but it would be very difficult for her to defeat a group of immortal venerables with her chess soldiers of Du Zhen and Shikong. Difficult. It's too difficult. However, no matter how difficult it was, she must not lose this game. Because Ning Fan was in her chess soldiers. If Ning Fan is killed by the enemy, even if he could be reborn in the outside world, he would certainly suffer some injuries. Ning Fan's brain was already muddled because of his illness. How could he let his illness worsen? My luck is really good. I made the first move. Eugene won the first move by throwing the tokens. Bei Xiaoman became even more furious. She had played countless games. How could she not see that Eugene's copper tokens were tampered with? That was why she could gain the first move? Do you need to be so despicable? Do you need to be so shameless? You already have a group of immortal venerables chess soldiers, but you still cheated. You really live up to the old saying, "A tree without its bark will definitely die." A man who is shameless is invincible under the heavens. Then, I won't be polite anymore. Immortal 5 to 10. As soon as the game started, Eugene wanted to directly send his chess piece into Bei Xiaoman's formation and forcefully exchange the chess piece with her. Who asked his chess soldiers to be so powerful? This method of exchanging chess pieces was just too suitable for him. He had absolute confidence in eating the right chess piece. It was almost impossible for his opponent to eat his chess piece. This move was a sure win. However, an accident happened. Before Eugene could move the chess piece with the word immortal, it suddenly shattered into pieces. At the same time, the 5 chess pieces on the chessboard, god, devil, demon, ghost, and spirit were also crushed. It was fine if the ordinary chess pieces were crushed. If the spirit general chess pieces were crushed, the game would be decided as a loss. Winner, Bei Xiaoman. Just 20 breaths after the game started, Bei Xiaoman won the game with lightning speed. Her victory was so inexplicable that no one could understand it. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. How could I lose? Master had invited so many immortal venerable chess soldiers and chess generals for me. Eugene suffered a huge blow. He could not accept the scene in front of him. Strange. The game has just started. Why did all his chess soldiers die? Also, why didn't his chess soldiers reincarnate into the outside world after they died? Many of the audience expressed their confusion. It must be that strange man Wang Ji who killed them. Among the audience, a few realm beasts who knew the inside story were shocked. How could they not know that a few of their immortal venerables had died? This debt was directly placed on the strange man Wang Ji's head. I actually won the first game without doing anything. Bei Xiaoman laughed like a pig. She did not have much hope in winning the first game. She did not expect to win the game without doing anything. She was so lucky. After winning the first game without doing anything, Bei Xiaoman took a short break and started the second game. Her opponent in the second game was the disciple of the Northern Palace, Fan Shiping. He was an old man with white hair. Although he looked very old, he was actually only a few 100,000 years old and had the cultivation of a life immortal. Although his cultivation was not high, he had been obsessed with the Tao of chess all his life. His chess skills were superb. Therefore, he was quite famous among the chess experts of the Northern Sky. When she saw that her opponent for the second game was Fan Shiping, Bei Xiaoman could not stay calm anymore. This person's chess skills could at least be ranked in the top 50 of the Northern Sky. Why were all her opponents so powerful? As expected, the Grand Elder had tampered with the position that she had drawn. He was hoping that she would lose as soon as possible. Fourth young lady, our chess skills and chess skills are on par with each other. Today, we should be able to enjoy ourselves to the fullest. Fan Shiping was overjoyed that he had met his match. He was a chess fanatic. He was indifferent to the internal strife of the sect. He was only happy that he had met a strong opponent like Bei Xiaoman. However, Bei Xiaoman was not happy at all. If she met a weaker opponent, she had her own ways to win without using her chess devil. However, her opponent was a chess expert like Fan Shiping. It was too difficult to use 5 chess pieces to win against 6 chess pieces. There's no need to throw your chips. Let fourth young lady make the first move. Fan Shiping was very magnanimous and gave her the first move. Thank you. It was rare for Bei Xiaoman to be polite. She placed the 6 chess pieces on the 6 games board. The chess devil was supposed to be the main force of the battle. However, Bei Xiaoman placed it in the middle of the formation instead of the front. Oh, this is the first time I've seen such a formation. Fan Shiping was slightly surprised and also set up a formation. He initially thought that Bei Xiaoman was using some kind of ancient chess manual. That was why the formation was so strange. However, once they exchanged moves, he saw through it. Strange. Fourth young lady did not move the chess devil at all. Why is that? Could it be that the chess devil is hiding some kind of divine skill? It's not the right time to move it yet. Fan Shiping was puzzled. When others played chess, they would risk their lives to protect their spirit generals. However, Bei Xiaoman was different. She would rather sacrifice her spirit generals in order to protect the chess devil in several crucial moves. Fan Shiping frowned. He had never encountered such a situation before. He could not understand Bei Xiaoman's chess strategy at all. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that Bei Xiaoman's chess devil was full of danger. No, I must get rid of this chess devil and guard against fourth young lady's backup plan. Otherwise, there will be too many variables in this game. Then, an even more magical scene appeared. Bei Xiaoman would rather sacrifice her spirit generals to protect the chess devil. Fan Shiping would rather give up the perfect opportunity to attack the spirit generals to attack Bei Xiaoman's chess devil. Has this old man gone mad? I've already taken the initiative to admit defeat and let him eat my spirit generals. Why does he have to eat my little fan? Bei Xiaoman was furious. Wonderful. Wonderful. Fourth young lady's chess devil must have something to it. This devil must be related to the outcome of the game. That's why it caused the two of them to fight to the death. Sounds of praise and admiration could be heard from the surroundings. Everyone was attracted by the unprecedented chess strategy. Damn it. Damn it. Since you want to eat my little fan, I'll let all the chess soldiers and generals protect him together. Bei Xiaoman decided to stake everything on one throw. The outcome of the game was no longer important. Whoever dares to eat my little fan, I will risk my life to fight him. In the four-sided chess world, Ning Fan felt extremely bored. The flow of time in the four-sided chess world was 10,000 times faster than the outside world. More than 200 days had passed since he killed world beast Immortal Venerable. So many days had passed. Logically speaking, the second round of the chess battle should have already begun. However, he still did not get to see the so-called battle. It was because Bei Xiaoman did not use him at all. She only placed him on a devil mountain, using the devil chi to nourish her body and guard the place. No enemies were teleported to his side. He also did not receive Bei Xiaoman's order to teleport to the enemies to kill their chess soldiers. Just as he was feeling bored, a ray of light suddenly teleported to his location. It was the person Fan Shiping sent to attack him. It was an early Duzhen chess soldier with the word ghost on his face. Is the opponent a chess devil? That chess soldier with the word ghost looked extremely arrogant. He had participated in more than 40 chess battles. He had rich experience in using chess talismans. As soon as he saw that the enemy was a chess devil, he flipped open his immortal book in an experienced manner and took out a weak devil talisman. As soon as this talisman was activated, the enemy's Duzhen fell by 2 levels. The higher the opponent's cultivation base, the weaker the effect of this talisman would be. Swoosh swoosh, the chess ghost took out 2 more talismans in a row. Violent Ghost Talisman. Ghost Head Saber Talisman. The Violent Ghost Talisman could greatly increase his cultivation base. The Ghost Head Saber Talisman was an equipment talisman. It could summon a 12 Nirvana Hotian Ghost Head Saber to be used in a battle. Seeing that he had used 3 talismans in a row, Ning Fan had yet to take out his immortal book. How could the chess ghost not know that Ning Fan was a newbie? Weak too weak. This kid doesn't even know how to use talismans. I'm afraid he won't be able to withstand a single attack from me. The chess ghost wielded the ghost head saber and slashed down from the sky. The power of a single attack was enough to defeat the sky-rending chess devil. This was the difference between a veteran and a newbie. If Ning Fan only had the cultivation base of sky-rending chess devil, he probably wouldn't be able to defeat this veteran chess ghost. Obviously, the opponent still had a bunch of trump cards that he had yet to use. Unfortunately, Ning Fan wasn't sky-rending chess devil. Ning Fan casually lifted his finger and shot out a red light, turning the chess ghost into ashes. He did not kill the chess ghost. The chess ghost was successfully reborn in the outside world. His face was filled with indescribable fear. It's fake, right? What kind of cultivation base is that? I have a whole body of talismans, but I can't even resist it. The battle inside the chessboard was just a blink of an eye to the outside world. Fan Shiping was a cunning old fox. After circling around for a few times, the chess ghost suddenly appeared in the center of Bei Xiaoman's army and launched an attack at the chess devil. I'll take down this move, Fan Shiping said with a smile. But soon he couldn't smile anymore. The chess ghost that he sent to attack the chess devil was shattered with a cracking sound. I'm going to faint. He failed to eat the chess pieces and was killed instead. It was actually a counterattack. His chess ghost didn't even have the time to use the talisman to escape. Huh? Bei Xiaoman was puzzled. Her little fan was clearly attacked. Why didn't he eat the chess pieces? Could it be that the opponent's ghost spirit was 1,000 times, 10,000 times weaker than her little fan? Bei Xiaoman heaved a sigh of relief. But soon she miscalculated again. She fell into Fan Shiping's trap again. Fan Shiping successfully bypassed her trap and launched another attack at the chess devil that was represented by Ning Fan. This time, it was Fan Shiping's chess ghost that attacked Ning Fan. Then, Fan Shiping's chess ghost was killed instead. Then, Fan Shiping used his chess ghost to attack Ning Fan. Then, the chess ghost was killed instead. Fan Shiping, who lost 3 chess pieces in a row, fell into a disadvantageous position. He was shocked and wanted to use a strategy to make up for his disadvantage. But at this moment, something strange happened. Both sides did not move any chess pieces. However, Fan Shiping's remaining 3 chess pieces exploded without any warning. Winner, Bei Xiaoman. He won without doing anything again. How could this be? Fan Shiping coughed out blood and fell to the ground. He had put in a lot of effort in this round, but he did not expect that his spirit general would explode for no reason. Strange. Why did I win again? Why did that old man's spirit general explode by itself? Bei Xiaoman was dumbfounded. Winning without doing anything could be explained by luck. Winning without doing anything twice in a row was just too strange. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.